Chapter 55. Downstairs, Lu Duo drove out Mercedes-Benz S-Class from the garage, rolled down the window, and let Li Chongqing get in. Are you 18 years old? Do you have a driver's license? Just drive? Of course no. Lu Duo smiled. I'm just addicted to driving. I haven't had the time to get my driver's license, but I have a personal driver. After that, he got out of the car, leaned against the door, and made a phone call. About 10 minutes later, a taxi stopped beside the two of them, and a pretty girl got out of the car. Her face was very seductive, and her legs were very thin, especially the short skirt and black stockings. She had a mature charm in her purity. Even Li Chongqing couldn't help but admire her. She was a top-notch beauty. This is my girlfriend. Lu Duo put his arm around the girl's slender waist and proudly introduced her to Li Chongqing. The girl also stroked the black hair in front of her forehead very cooperatively and leaned on Lu Duo. How old are you to have a girlfriend? The girl's name was Tsung Na, a freshman. It was said that she had just gotten her driver's license. This is my teacher, Brother Li, Lu Duo introduced with a smile. At the same time, he whispered in Tsung Na's ear, this guy is very awesome. His fighting power is off the charts. He can be called the Bruce Lee of the 21st century. Hearing Lu Duo's words, Tsung Na's eyes showed some surprise. She knew her boyfriend, who was 1 year younger than her, very well. Few people could get his praise. Okay, get in the car. Lu Duo took the initiative to sit in the front passenger seat, and Li Chongqing had to sit in the back seat. Master, I'll introduce you to a few beautiful girls in a while. They are absolutely beautiful and have different styles. Moreover, they're all rich ladies in the circle of Qingzhou. Although they are not as rich as my family, the most valuable thing is that some of them are the only daughters of their families. As long as you can get one, you can squander the rest of your life and go to the peak of life. Rich ladies and billionaires. We're not a good match at all. Li Chongqing said with a simple and honest smile. Master, don't belittle yourself. In my opinion, you're still very capable. No, Li Chongqing smiled. I'm afraid that they're not good enough for me. Lu Duo, Tsung Na. Although Tsung Na had just gotten her driver's license, her driving skills were very good. The city at night was already very congested, but from Lu Duo's neighborhood to the entertainment street, it took less than 20 minutes. 2 luxury cars had been waiting at the intersection for a long time. One was a Porsche worth more than 2 million yuan, and the other was a business version of the Land Rover Range Rover. The people who got out of the car were all young men of the same age as Lu Duo, especially the guy who walked out of the Land Rover Range Rover. He was obviously very young, but driving such an old and heavy car gave people a strong impact. This kind of car was not rare in Qingzhou, but for such a young man to drive it, the meaning was different. They're my best friends. There will be a few more girls coming over later. They're the rich ladies I told you about. Lu Duo introduced to Li Chongqing. He rolled down the window and greeted his 2 companions. The 3 cars drove in one after another. They stopped in front of a bar. Young people always had a restless heart, and the bar was a place for them to let loose. They did not wait at the bar for long. Soon, 3 cars came over. As expected, all of the people who came out were handsome men and beautiful women, and there were more women than men. After listening to Lu Duo's introduction of Li Chongqing, the girls were obviously disappointed. However, a few of the boys' eyes lit up. They were very interested in Li Chongqing. Of course, they were not interested in that aspect, but they were curious about Li Chongqing's fighting ability based on Lu Duo's bragging. Boys who didn't dream of traveling the world with a sword. Everyone, let's go in. Today is Duo's birthday. I've already booked a private room. It's my treat. A young man was obviously slightly older than everyone present. He even talked like a big brother. Everyone nodded and walked into the bar. The lobby manager immediately greeted them and led them to a more remote place on the 2nd floor. After sitting down, all kinds of high-end drinks were served. The bar manager specially brought a bottle of red wine to congratulate Lu Duo on his birthday. This red wine was estimated to be worth more than 100,000 yuan. After calculating their spending today, not only would the bar not make any money, it would also lose money. However, This was also an investment. Lu Duo and the others were not short of money. As long as they came here to spend more, this 100,000 yuan would be easily earned back. Li Changsheng watched all of this quietly. The various social skills of the secular world would always give people different insights. Everyone sat down. None of the girls were willing to sit next to Li Changsheng. After all, Li Changsheng's appearance could not attract their restless hearts. This made Lu Duo feel a little awkward. He originally planned to introduce girls to Li Changsheng, but he had some other thoughts. Today, he was taught a lesson by Li Changsheng. If he could beat Li Changsheng in this aspect, he would feel a little better. At this time, Ludwig's cell phone suddenly rang. Because the music in the bar was too noisy, he went to the bathroom to answer the phone. A minute later, he returned to the room, glanced at Li Changsheng, and said, "My dad just called and said that he will be here in 10 minutes. What? A fat man next to him did not hear clearly and asked loudly, "I said that my dad will be here in a while." In an instant, the atmosphere in the room froze. The boys who had been relaxed suddenly fell into silence. "This is Brother Li's idea. He invited my dad. My dad just came. I don't have such a big face." Hearing Lu Duoduo's words, everyone present looked at Li Changsheng in a completely different way. These people played in the same circle as Lu Duo. Naturally, they knew who Lu Duoduo's father was. Usually, when they returned home, their parents would tell them how tough Boss Lu was. Not to mention them, even their parents were trembling when they saw Lu Xiong. Such a big Buddha actually came to the bar, and it was not for the sake of his son Lu Duo, but for the sake of Li Changsheng. Many people gasped. "Brother Li, you are awesome." The buddy next to Lu Duo gave Li Changsheng a thumbs up. "Shall we change a place to play? If Lu Duoduo's dad knows that we are in this place, he won't be angry." Someone asked cautiously. "It's too late to change a place now." Lu Duoduo's face also became bitter. When he sent the location to his dad just now, he did not think of this. "It's okay. There's no need to change. When Boss Lu comes in a while, I'll talk to him," Li Changsheng said casually. Lu Duo nodded hurriedly. Yes. Brother Li, you can talk to my dad later. He must not be angry." Who said that Lu Duo was a devil incarnate? But sometimes Lu Xiong was very cruel when he disciplined him. "Humph, what are you bragging about? When Duoduo's dad comes in a while, you'll be scared. Isn't he just a tutor?" A girl curled her lips disdainfully. Although Lu Duo praised Li Changsheng as a god, she grasped the essence of the matter. Li Changsheng was just a tutor who knew Kung Fu and was hired by Lu Duoduo's dad. In the eyes of girls, Kung Fu was actually a very cheap thing. Which one of her bodyguards was not a master who could fight against 10 people? When they saw her, they still had to respectfully call her Miss. Only these boys were stupid enough to worship a guy who was so poor that he had to work part-time to make money. Chapter 56. How can you talk like that? Lu Duo glared at the girl next to him. The woman was wearing a white short-sleeved shirt and a pair of earrings. She was quite pretty, but her phoenix eyes had a hint of harshness. Well, Duo, Wang Lu was just joking. The boy next to him hurriedly came out to smooth things over. "Brother Li, she's a little girl. You don't mind, do you?" Li Changsheng smiled and didn't speak. He didn't want to talk to such an uneducated girl. The atmosphere in the room was awkward for a while. At this time, a boy proposed a dance, but the others shook their heads. Ludwig's father, Lu Xiong, was coming. Who could still be relaxed? After more than 10 minutes, Ludwig's mobile phone lit up again. Lu Duo said to the crowd, "My dad is coming. I'll pick him up." With that, he ran down the first floor. Not long after, Lu Xiong came in accompanied by the driver, Xiaopeng. From the moment Lu Xiong appeared, the young people present, including the girl who just mocked Li Changsheng, Wang Lu, showed awe. They sat there like wooden carvings. "Boss Lu, you're here." Li Changsheng stood up. "Just call me Brother Lu." Lu Xiong patted Li Changsheng's shoulder and sat down next to Li Changsheng. "I'm so old. Playing with a group of young people like you will make you feel uncomfortable, right?" Lu Xiong picked up the wine glass and took the initiative to drink. He made a few jokes to liven up the atmosphere in the room. About 20 minutes later, Lu Xiong stood up. "You guys have fun. I have something to do, so I'll leave first. At this time, Li Chongqing saw a few strong men in sportswear at the stairs. They all had sharp eyes. As Lu Xiong went downstairs, they quietly followed behind and guessed that they should be Lu Xiong's bodyguards. It seems that Qinligua didn't fully disclose the background of this boss Lu to me. How can he be an ordinary businessman with so many bodyguards who are all covert power experts? Li Chongsheng shook his head and withdrew his gaze. He just came to experience life. As for Lu Xiong's background, he didn't have much interest. After Lu Xiong left, the atmosphere at the scene recovered its liveliness. Wang Lu, didn't you say that Brotherly was bragging? My dad is here. Look at how scared you are. Only my Brotherly can deal with him calmly. Lu Duo still felt indignant for Li Chongsheng. Oof, he's just ignorant and fearless. I'm afraid he doesn't know your father's identity. Wang Lu's words made Lu Duo speechless. Indeed, Li Chongsheng didn't seem to know what his father did. Wang Lu was just speaking casually, but when she saw Lu Duo's expression, she knew that she had guessed correctly. It was almost 10 o'clock, the busiest time in the bar. After Lu Xiong, the great Buddha, left, he could also completely let go. Men and women began to dance on the dance floor. Only Li Chongsheng sat on the sofa, somewhat out of place. Brotherly, do you want to go up and dance for a while? Lu Duo was afraid that he would not take good care of Li Chongsheng, so he said this. No need. Li Chongsheng shook his head. You guys can go and play. Oof. I think he's just an honest block of wood. I'm afraid he hasn't been to this bar before. There's so many scantily dressed girls in that room. I'm afraid his face will turn red before he even gets close. The girl called Wang Lu didn't know why, but she just didn't like Li Chongsheng and ridiculed him. Wang Lu, if you continue to talk nonsense, don't blame me for being angry with you. Lu Duo was really annoyed. I'm just telling the truth. Li Chongsheng smiled and poured himself a glass of wine. He seemed to have turned a deaf ear to Wang Lu's words. Who knew that when she saw Li Chongsheng shaking his head, Wang Lu couldn't accept it. What? What are you laughing at? Are you not convinced? It's not that I'm looking down on you, but other people come to the bar to have a romantic encounter. At the very least, they can release themselves. You're just like a block of wood, and you still want to pursue my sister Lu Yao. Why don't you take a piss and look at yourself? Now, Li Chongsheng finally understood. So this was where the problem lay. This Wang Lu turned out to be Lu Yao's best friend. That day in the art class, he didn't notice it, but Wang Lu remembered Li Chongsheng. Why? Are you here to fight for justice for your sister? Li Chongsheng asked with interest. That day, he was kind enough to give Lu Yao a student card, but he didn't expect to be treated like that. Now that he thought about it, Li Chongsheng still felt that it wasn't worth it. Yeah, I'm here to fight for justice. You're just a pile of cow dung. You even chased her all the way to the classroom, and in the end, you still arrogantly left. I've long disliked you. Li Chongsheng smiled. You're really a dog. Try to catch a mouse. Who are you talking about? Wang Lu stood up and fiercely glared at Li Chongsheng. Surnamed Li, I said you're a pile of cow dung, and you're still not convinced? Look at yourself. There's so many girls in this bar. If you can find one who likes you, I, Wang Lu, will gouge out my eyeballs and let you step on them like blisters. Really? Li Chongsheng's face showed some interest. There's no need to step on them like blisters. If there really is a girl who likes me, you can slap yourself twice in front of everyone, and then loudly shout that you, Wang Lu, have eyes but fail to see. You're a snobbish and narrow-minded woman. Oh. Wang Lu's face turned purple. If that's really the case, then wouldn't she lose all her face? However, when she thought of Li Chongsheng's image, she sneered and said, Okay, I'll listen to you. It's a deal. But since it's a bet, then you can't just casually choose. Do you see the table of people in the corner? Among them, there's a girl in white. If you can take her down, not only will I slap myself twice, but I'll also show you my private photos. When Wang Lu's words fell, the surrounding people exclaimed in surprise. Before this, everyone had already noticed the girl in the corner. Her appearance was definitely at the level of femme fatale. Even if she was sitting in a muddy and noisy place like a bar, she was still like a green lotus, untainted by the mud, giving people a cold feeling. She was definitely an ice goddess. This kind of woman was the most difficult to win over. Not to mention the ordinary-looking Li Changsheng. Even if it was a tall, rich, and handsome man like Lu Duo, 800 would die on the way. The remaining 200 would at most be qualified to be a spare tire. Therefore, everyone felt that the difficulty was too high. No wonder Wang Lu dared to place such a heavy bet. This Wang Lu was very beautiful and was very confident in her figure. But when she said such words, she felt that she had placed a very heavy bet. Who knew that Li Changsheng would shake his head? Change the condition. If you lose, in addition to the previous condition, you have to do a pole dance for me. I'm not interested in your private photos. With your appearance, any of the salon girls in the Western District's Red Flag Street will be 10 times better than you. What did you say? Wang Lu felt as if she was hit by 100,000 points. Her eyes stared at Li Changsheng. If looks could kill, Li Changsheng would definitely die in an instant. For someone like her, who had always been confident in her appearance, it was fine to be called ugly. But to be compared with those salon girls, this was simply an insult to her. The surrounding people also revealed a strange expression. They thought that this brother really dared to say anything. What if you lose? Wang Lu stared at Li Changsheng. If I lose, you can kill me or cut me up as you wish. Good. Wang Lu nodded her head. If you lose, I want you to blindfold yourself and jump down from the second floor. When Wang Lu's words came out, everyone sucked in a mouthful of cold air. Blindfold yourself and jump down from the second floor. This is too ruthless. I agree, Li Changsheng just lightly said. Even Lu Duo, who was at the side, was a bit silly. It seemed that today's game had gone too far. Chapter 57. Li Changsheng stood up, and all eyes were focused on him. Even the woman in white's table had people looking at him curiously. After all, it was noisy here, and people were pointing at her table from time to time. However, they were obviously more low-key. With the woman in white's appearance, no matter where she went, she would inevitably cause a shock. As her friends, they were used to it. However, when they saw Li Changsheng holding a wine glass and walking to their table, some people's faces suddenly showed displeasure. Watching from afar and commenting in private were all within their tolerance range. It was a bit too much to walk over blatantly. However, the woman in white had been playing with her phone with her head down. Even if there was a wine glass in front of her, she only took a few symbolic sips. At this moment, the woman in white didn't know that a guy had boasted that he would take her down and even made a bet. However, when she was playing with her phone, she saw a figure standing in front of her and then said in a very firm voice, "Hello, my name is Li Changsheng. I want you to be my girlfriend." As soon as the words came out, it was earth-shattering. Not only were the white-clothed girl's companions dumbfounded, but even Lu Duo and the others were dumbfounded. This was too straightforward, too straightforward. Many people had already shook their heads and couldn't bear to look directly. Such a scene usually had two results, but it depended on the woman's personality. If the woman was a playboy, she might tease him and say, "Okay, let's see if you can subdue this great ant." If the woman was pure as ice and jade, it was very likely that she would directly slap him and scold. Shameless. Obviously, the former was not very likely. Looking at the woman's appearance, many people were worried for Li Changsheng. Why? The woman put away her phone and looked at the man standing in front of her clearly. He was wearing ordinary clothes and looked ordinary, but his eyes were very bright. "Because I can't protect you," Li Changsheng blurted out. Since he had made a bet, he was naturally confident. Of course, his confidence didn't come from his appearance or anything else, but from a mind bewitchment. If he could charm a woman in a short time and make her agree to be his girlfriend, it was not difficult for Li Changsheng. "Protect me?" "Sure." The girl suddenly smiled. This time, Li Changsheng was somewhat dumbfounded. She agreed so easily. "My name is Bai Qianxue. I'm your girlfriend now. Of course, it's not too late to regret it." Bai Qianxue's voice was very clear and crisp, giving people a feeling of enjoyment like flowing spring water. However, Li Changsheng wasn't in the mood to appreciate her voice at the moment. Instead, he was wondering why the other party had agreed. Not to mention Li Changsheng, Lu Duo, and the others felt as if they had been struck by lightning. Wang Lu, who was looking at Li Changsheng with disdain, directly sat up from the sofa. Are you kidding me? How could this be? On the contrary, the people at Bai Qinshue's table revealed thoughtful expressions after their initial shock. Some of them even looked at Li Changsheng with pity in their eyes. Qinshu. The man next to him hesitated and was about to speak. Bai Qinshu shook her head. Ziheng, I know what you want to say, but you know my personality. The man named Ziheng nodded and fell into silence. Li Changsheng, let me ask you one more time. Are you sure you don't regret it? You want to be my boyfriend to protect me? Li Changsheng suddenly cracked a smile and said, Of course not. Even if someone put a knife to my neck, I wouldn't regret it. This time, Bai Qinshue's eyes flashed with a strange light. Okay, Li Changsheng, now that you're my boyfriend, you should fulfill your promise to protect me. Come with me to Chuzhou City in half a month. Chuzhou City? Li Changsheng asked curiously why. Come with me to see my fiancé. After Bai Qinshu said that, her table mates heaved a sigh. Just as I thought. They all thought at the same time. Okay. Li Changsheng didn't seem to notice the strange look in Bai Qinshu's friend's eyes, so he agreed without hesitation. Then I have fulfilled my obligation as your boyfriend. Shouldn't you fulfill your obligation as my girlfriend? Obligation as your girlfriend? What obligation? Bai Qinshu was taken aback. However, she saw Li Changsheng take a step closer to her. Then, he reached out and wrapped his arm around Bai Qinshu's slender waist. Bai Qinshu's body trembled. She had never thought that Li Changsheng would do something like this. That firm arm and the warmth of his large hand passed through her thin clothes, causing her entire body to become limp and numb. She subconsciously turned around and tried to break free. However, when she saw Li Changsheng's half-smile, she immediately calmed down. This guy's trying to get back at me. He saw through my intention and is using this to punish me. Although Bai Qinshu was still feeling unwell, she forced a smile. How dare you take advantage of Qinshu? At this moment, the man named Ziheng suddenly stood up and pointed at Li Changsheng as he shouted, Get your dirty hands off of her. Qinshu, I know you don't want to marry that spoiled brat, but you can't let this bumpkin take advantage of you. Su Ziheng, mind your own business. You said you liked me and would do anything for me. But where were you when the Chung family came to propose marriage? Do you dare to stand up for me? You are worse than this bumpkin. Bai Qinshu said coldly. The man in front of her was her childhood sweetheart. However, when her family decided to marry her off to a spoiled brat, he didn't dare to stand up for her. Qinshu, you know how much I love you. I am willing to do anything for you, but your fiancé is the young lord of the Chung family. You should know better than me how powerful the Chung family is in Chuzhou City. I don't care about my own safety, but I have to think about my family. That's enough. Bai Qinshu interrupted him. Stop trying to find excuses for your cowardice. So you are a couple. Li Changsheng finally understood the relationship between Bai Qinshu and Su Ziheng. It's none of your business. Get your dirty hands off of her. Su Ziheng said coldly. I won't. Didn't you hear what Qinshu said? You two are no longer in a relationship. She's my girlfriend now. As he spoke, Li Changsheng's lips curled into a smile. He exerted force in his palm, and Bai Qinshu was caught off guard. Her entire body was pressed against his chest. Then, he kissed Bai Qinshu's beautiful face. You. Bai Qinshu's mind went blank. She was pure and innocent. Even though she and Su Ziheng liked each other, the most they would do was hold hands. However, she was kissed by someone she had only known for less than 10 minutes. After more than 10 seconds, she finally reacted and struggled out of Li Changsheng's arms. Her face was dark and gloomy, and she glared at Li Changsheng with a frosty expression. You asshole, I will kill you. Su Ziheng was enraged. He swung his fist at Li Changsheng. Chapter 58. Although Su Ziheng was a rich second generation, he gave off a strong vibe because he worked out frequently. Many people around him exclaimed when he suddenly attacked. After all, Li Changsheng's figure was a little thin compared to him. Stop! At this moment, Bai Qinxue reacted and stepped in front of Li Changsheng. Qinxue, why are you protecting him? Su Ziheng certainly wouldn't punch by Qinxue, so he could only take it back. Su Ziheng, I agreed to come to the bar today because I wanted to see what you would do, but you really disappointed me. She turned and walked toward the stairs. Qinxue, listen to me. Su Ziheng hurriedly chased after Bai Qinxue, but when he tried to grab her, Bai Qinxue shook him off. His other friends also hurriedly followed behind. When they were going down the stairs, Su Ziheng turned around and glared at Li Changsheng. He said in a cold voice, Kid, I'll remember you. After they left one after another, Li Changsheng turned and walked back to Lu Duoduo's table. At this moment, Lu Duoduo gave Li Changsheng a thumbs up. Brother Li, you're amazing. As he spoke, he looked at Wang Lu beside him. You should honor your bet now, right? Wang Lu's face suddenly turned ugly. She didn't expect this result. Li Changsheng was so lucky that the other party happened to be angry with her boyfriend. Li, don't be so smug. Didn't you hear that the girl said her fiancé is the young master of the Cheng family? Maybe you won't even know how you died. That's not something you should be concerned about. Li Changsheng said coldly. Now, honor your bet. Wang Lu's face turned extremely ugly. In front of so many people, this was worse than killing her. Brother Li, I think we should just forget about it. A young man next to him stood up to smooth things over. Unexpectedly, Li Changsheng shook his head. Since we made a bet, we naturally have to honor it. We can't just let it go. If I lose, I'll really jump down from the second floor. So, she has to do as she said. The young man next to him felt that Li Changsheng had rejected him, and his face turned ugly. However, thinking that Li Changsheng was brought here by Lu Duoduo, he didn't say anything in the end. Wang Lu, are you going to pole dance later? Someone similarly disliked Wang Lu and immediately made fun of her. Wang Lu's face turned purple. Hurry up, don't waste my time. Li Changsheng said coldly. This woman was mean and sarcastic, always going against him. He wouldn't show her any mercy. All right. Wang Lu gnashed her teeth as she looked at Li Changsheng. Then, she walked to the railing on the second floor and slapped herself twice on the face. Many people looked over when they saw Wang Lu's actions. I, Wang Lu, am a snob. I have eyes but fail to see, Wang Lu shouted. Then, under everyone's gaze, she walked to the center of the dance floor and said something to the girl who was dancing. After the girl left, she really began to pole dance. Wang Lu was very beautiful, and she was wearing a miniskirt today. Her dance immediately made the whole bar boil. Lu Duoduo and others also leaned on the railing and enjoyed the dance. In the dim light, Li Changsheng didn't wait for Wang Lu to finish her dance and left silently. To him, this woman's punishment was nothing more than entertainment. After leaving the bar, Li Changsheng immediately saw the figure in white standing alone by the roadside. There seemed to be something sparkling and translucent flowing on her cheeks. Here, wipe your tears. A tissue was handed over. Bai Qinxue looked up in surprise. When she saw that it was Li Changsheng, she took the tissue. Where are your friends? Li Changsheng asked. I let them go. Bai Qinxue wiped her tears and smiled at Li Changsheng. However, that smile was a little sad and beautiful. I'm fine. You don't have to worry about me. I'll send you home. Without any explanation, Li Changsheng pulled her hand and stopped the taxi. Bai Qinxue wanted to struggle, but Li Changsheng's hand was like an iron clamp. In the end, she didn't break free and sat in the car obediently. Bai Qinxue was a student of Yanbei University. After sending her to the school gate and adjusting on the way, her face looked better. She looked at the young man sitting next to her who had become her boyfriend out of nowhere with mixed feelings. At that time, she was angry with Su Ziheng, and she really wanted to find someone to be her means to fight against her family. However, at this moment, she couldn't help but regret it. If her family knew that she had found such a man in order to avoid marrying young Master Cheng, she would at most suffer some grievances. However, he might have to bear the wrath of her family, especially the Cheng family. Wasn't she too selfish? This would only harm him. Bai Qinxue wanted to say something, but Li Changsheng spoke first. Okay, I won't send you to school. Remember, I'm your boyfriend. I will protect you. This was the second time Bai Qianxue heard Li Chongsheng say this. She hoped that the person who said this was Su Ziheng. However, when she thought of Su Ziheng's performance, her heart was filled with disappointment. "Give me your phone." Bai Qianxue reached out her hand. She took Li Chongsheng's phone and dialed a number. A few seconds later, she heard the sound of her pocket vibrating. "Okay, goodbye." Li Chongsheng smiled. Looking at the pure and bright smile, Bai Qianxue suddenly muttered, "Why don't you send me in?" After saying this, even the driver in front turned his head with a surprised look. It was the first time he saw such a beautiful woman like Bai Qianxue after so many rental trips. However, this beautiful woman took the initiative to ask a man to send her to school. Under the moonlight, a man and a woman walked on the campus path full of camphor trees. What a beautiful picture. The only pity was that the man was too ordinary. "Can you help me pay the taxi fare first? I was going to wait for the taxi to send me back to school and ask my roommate to pay for me. I don't have cash with me," Li Chongsheng said with a smile. It seemed that he didn't notice the wonderful expression of the driver at all. "Okay." Bai Qianxue nodded and was a little speechless. She felt that she was hot-headed at that time. Why did she agree to be her boyfriend? Scan the code and pay. Then the two walked together to the gate of Yanbei University. Although it was already night, there were still many students coming and going at the gate of the university. Bai Qianxue was a famous goddess in Yanbei University. Some people recognized that the goddess was walking with a bumpkin and felt that they were blind. Chapter 59. By the way, why did you suddenly say that you wanted to be my boyfriend? Was it because of a bet? Bai Qianxue, who had been silent all the way, finally couldn't help but ask. "You are very smart." Li Chongsheng smiled. "A woman kept mocking me, saying that all the girls in the bar looked down on me. So I found the most beautiful one and slapped her face." Li Chongsheng answered honestly. Bai Qianxue smiled slightly. Li Chongsheng's words were equivalent to praising her beauty in disguise. Even though she was an ice goddess, she was still very happy to hear such words. "I didn't know that you were quite good at talking." Bai Qianxue looked at the dormitory building that appeared in front of her and said, "I'm here. By the way, do you want to accompany me to see my fiancé in half a month? You can think about it again, because it may not be as simple as a meeting. There will be danger, right?" Li Chongsheng smiled. "Don't worry, I said that I will protect you. Although, I'm only your temporary boyfriend, and you're only my temporary girlfriend." After that, he turned around and left. Bai Qianxue was a little stunned. She didn't expect Li Chongsheng to see it so clearly. "Since you know, why did you agree to accompany me?" Bai Qianxue couldn't help but ask. "Because you're my girlfriend now." Li Chongsheng laughed heartily, "even if it is only temporary." After that, he waved his hand and turned around to leave, leaving behind a trail of dust. Because he didn't have any spare change, Li Chongsheng didn't choose to take a taxi, but trotted directly back to Qingzhou University. Qingzhou University was half a city away from Yanbei University, but Li Chongsheng's running speed was absolutely as fast as lightning. After more than 30 kilometers, his face wasn't red and he wasn't out of breath. Back in the dormitory, Jiang Tao and the others were lying in front of the computer watching an action movie from a certain country. All of them were so focused that they didn't even notice Li Chongsheng's arrival. He lit a cigarette and exhaled a cloud of smoke. Then, he took out a packet of tea leaves for himself. "Chongsheng is back. Your tea leaves are quite delicious." At that time, the person from the dormitory next door insisted that I give him a packet after he finished drinking the tea. "I thought that since you have so many tea leaves and you don't care about that packet, I took the liberty to give it to him," Zhang Xiaofeng said casually. "It's fine. Isn't it just a bag of tea leaves? It doesn't matter even if you give the whole box away." Li Chongsheng waved his hand and said, "These were all gifts given to Su Xiaolin by others." It was not an exaggeration to say that any one of these bags could be used to buy an item on the busiest street in Qingzhou. In the hands of Li Chongsheng, they were like weeds on the roadside that could be casually given away. Yesterday, I saw a tale of Longjing tea sold for hundreds of yuan on Taobao. Chongsheng's tea leaves are not bad. Although his hometown produces tea, we can't waste it. Next time, When people from other dorms come, they can drink tea, but they can't take it for free. Besides, that guy is famous for taking advantage of others. Yang Fan said. Zhang Xiaofeng nodded. Got it. How could he not know his temperament? It was just that he had recently taken a fancy to a girl, and that girl and the guy from the dormitory next door were elementary school classmates. By the way, I have an appointment with my wife to go to the KTV tomorrow. There are also a few girls, Hao Ting and Chenwan, who will also go. Changsheng, you saved them at the bar last time, and they all said that they want to thank you. Zhang Mingming will also go. She seems to have a good impression of you. Jiang Tao said. How about it? Do you want to go together tomorrow? Okay. Yang Fan was the first to nod. Although those girls didn't like him, Jiang Tao said that there were other girls who might be able to solve a major life event. Besides, tomorrow is Sunday, and they had nothing to do. I'll go too. Zhang Xiaofeng nodded. He was also a person who liked to be lively. Okay. Li Changsheng also nodded. However, as soon as his voice fell, his phone vibrated. Seeing that the number was from Wang Dongsheng, Li Changsheng didn't want the people in the dormitory to know about him being in the fighting team. Therefore, he left the dormitory and went to the corridor to answer the call. Dongsheng, what's the matter? Wang Dongsheng was Li Changsheng's student, and his character was quite liked by Li Changsheng. Therefore, other than during training, Li Changsheng was usually very good to him. Coach, there's something I need to trouble you with. On the other end of the phone, Wang Dongsheng's tone was a bit hesitant. What's the matter? Just say it. Don't be so wishy-washy. The reason why Wang Dongsheng and the others were hospitalized could be said to be because they were implicated by Li Changsheng. This made Li Changsheng feel that he had let them down. It's like this. A month ago, I bought a KTV near the school gate. I wanted to start my own business to make some money, but because my KTV was quite popular, it stole the business of the surrounding shops. There were always people who went there to cause trouble. Every night, I would go there to keep an eye on it for a while. Now that I'm hospitalized, I'm afraid that people will cause trouble there. The staff there can't handle it, so I want Coach to help me keep an eye on it today. Tomorrow, my dad will send someone else to help. The whole day tomorrow? Li Changxing asked. No, it only needs to be between 7 and 12 o'clock. Okay, send me the location. I'll help you keep an eye on it. After hanging up the phone, he returned to the dormitory. Li Changsheng saw that everyone was staring at him. What are you looking at? I don't have flowers on my face. He picked up the teacup on the table and took a sip. At this time, Jiang Tao opened his mouth and said, sneaking outside to make a phone call, Did you find a girlfriend? Yes, tell us the truth. What's her name? How high is she? Is she from our school? Yang Fan also said loudly. Leniency if you confess, severity if you resist. He really found a girlfriend. She's from Yinbei University. I think she's called by Qinxue. What? Changsheng, you really found a girlfriend? Zhang Xiaofeng's eyes almost popped out. The first one in the dormitory to have a girlfriend and say goodbye to his single life was of course the rich second-generation Jiang Tao, but the second one was Li Changsheng, who didn't look very attractive to girls. This made Zhang Xiaofeng and Yang Fan quite shocked. You said your girlfriend's name is by Qinxue? Jiang Tao suddenly held his belly and laughed. I say, Changsheng, you're joking with us again. Yinbei University and Su Ying School are only one street away. I heard from Su Ying that Bai Qinxue is the #1 goddess of Yinbei University. The number of rich young masters pursuing her can form a 10-mile-long street. Are you secretly in love with Bai Qinxue? But you'd better give up. It's not that I want to discourage you, but such a white swan is not suitable for you. I think that Zhang Mingming is not bad. She seems to have a good impression of you. Changsheng, you'd better be realistic. Don't lose the sesame seed before eating the watermelon. That's not worth it. Chapter 60. Li Changxing smiled and did not refute. There was no need to explain this kind of thing. Moreover, he and Bai Qinxue were just using each other. They were not really a couple. All right, I have something to do tomorrow. I'm afraid I can't go out with you guys. Have fun. Jiang Tao could not help but feel a little disappointed when he heard Li Changxing's words. Although Li Changxing seemed to be short of money, Jiang Tao actually preferred to spend time with Li Changsheng compared to Zhang Xiaofeng and Yang Fan. After all, Li Changsheng was a guy who was not afraid of anything. Most importantly, he could fight. Which boy had not been attracted by cool action movies when they were young? Who had not dreamed of becoming a hero who could kill a person within 10 miles? Sunday had always been a paradise for students. Li Changsheng first went to the hospital to visit Wang Dongsheng and the others. Then, he took the keys to the villa that Su Xiaolin gave him. In the villa's courtyard, he saw a black car covered in dust. He could not help but shake his head and smile bitterly. Su Xiaolin, this guy. I told him that I don't need a car, but he just had to park it in the courtyard. The villa had 2 floors and was located in the downtown area of Qingzhou. Every inch of land was worth gold. However, the environment inside was indeed elegant. It had forcibly opened up a quiet place in the most bustling area. The slogan of the UNE villa was Urban Paradise. Li Changsheng's villa was close to the artificial lake. It should be the best location in the entire neighborhood. He used the buildings in the courtyard to set up a small spirit gathering formation. Because he lacked the most suitable spirit stones to set up the formation, the effect of the spirit gathering formation was very ordinary. When he finished everything, it was already noon. He casually ate a mouthful of food and returned to the villa to cultivate. When he finished cultivating, the sky was almost dark. After calling Wang Dongsheng and asking for the address, he directly took a taxi to Wang Dongsheng's KTV. It was called Carving Time, and it had a somewhat artistic atmosphere. At this time, there were no customers. The waiter thought that he was here to spend money and hurriedly stood up. "Sir, how many people are there? I'm not here to play." Li Changsheng shook his head. "I'm here to watch the shop on behalf of Dongsheng. Are you the friend that Wang Xiao mentioned?" The originally lazy waiter's attitude immediately changed. "Brotherly, do you want some water?" The waiter was about to pour some tea for Li Changsheng. "No need, just give me a bottle of mineral water. You can go about your business. Is there a break room? I'm going to rest for a while." "Of course." The waiter led Li Changsheng to the back of the bar and pushed open a small door. There was a lounge that was about 15 or 16 square meters with sofas and whatnot. Li Changsheng leaned against the sofa and narrowed his eyes. The KTV started to have customers around 7 o'clock. There was nothing going on outside, so Li Changsheng sat in the lounge and didn't go out. At around 8 o'clock, it was already completely busy. Because this place was close to the school, the geographical location was quite good. There were more students, and the price was not expensive, so it was full every day. This was also the reason why many people in the same industry found Wang Dongsheng an eyesore and came to make trouble. After all, if they opened another shop in this area, they would have to make a lot less money. After stretching, Li Changsheng decided to go out and have a look. When he opened the door, the bar was busy. "Room 312 wants a big fruit plate." The walkie-talkie at the bar rang. "Make a fruit plate for room 312 and send it over." The manager shouted to the storeroom. "The waiter is busy. Please wait for a while." A voice came from the storeroom. "I'll send it over." Li Changsheng smiled. "I can't trouble you." The manager had received Wang Dongsheng's instructions to treat Li Changsheng with utmost respect. Li Changsheng smiled and said, "It's okay." He went to the storeroom to get the fruit plate and then went up to the 3rd floor. As soon as he went up to the 3rd floor, he heard a surprised voice. "Changsheng, why are you here?" He looked up and saw Yang Fan looking at him with a surprised face. "I'm here to help," Li Changsheng said. "Changsheng, you're really hardworking. You're a tutor and you're here to work part-time." Yang Fan obviously misunderstood, but Li Changsheng was too lazy to explain. "Is this fruit plate for room 312? Changsheng, you go ahead and leave it to me." "Okay." Li Changsheng handed the fruit plate to Yang Fan. After Yang Fan walked into the room with the fruit plate, he saw everyone's puzzled eyes and explained, "Changsheng works part-time as a waiter in this KTV. Just now, he was about to send a fruit plate to our room. I saw that he was very busy, so I took the initiative to bring the fruit plate in." "What? Changsheng works part-time here? No wonder he refused to play with us yesterday. I just didn't expect it to be so coincidental." Jiang Tao smiled and said. Su Ying and the other girls next to him looked a little strange. Then why don't you let Li Changxing in? No matter how busy he is, he shouldn't be here for a while. Zhang Mingming shouted. She wanted to see Li Changxing very much. Maybe he doesn't want to come in. After all, we are here to spend money, but he is a waiter. Maybe he will feel embarrassed. Su Ying said. Mingming, although I know Li Changxing saved us, I still want to advise you that he is a poor boy who can only work part-time in a bar. He is not a good match for you. Chen hesitated for a moment and said to Zhang Mingming. When she said this, Su Ying looked at Jiang Tao with some worry. Sure enough, Jiang Tao's face sank slightly. Since the last incident, Jiang Tao didn't have a good impression of Chen Wan and the other girls. If they weren't Su Ying's best friends, Jiang Tao might not be willing to see them. I think Li Changxing is very good. Zhang Mingming smiled, but didn't say anything about letting Li Changxing in for a drink. Okay, let's continue. Su Ying smiled and raised her glass. Li Changxing saved us. Of course, we have to thank him. But today's occasion is not suitable. He is a waiter, and we are guests. If we let him in, he will be embarrassed. Hao Ting also patted Zhang Mingming's shoulder. If you want to see him, find a suitable time. Boys are all prideful. He definitely won't want you to see his humble side. Soon, everyone forgot about Li Changxing. Only Zhang Mingming looked at the door from time to time. She wanted to stand up several times, but in the end, she didn't have the courage to walk out. Imagining Li Changxing working as a waiter and bowing to the guests, compared to his majestic appearance in the bar that day, Zhang Mingming felt a little complicated. If I really want him to be my boyfriend, can I accept him as a humble waiter? Maybe Chen Wan is right. I only saw his majestic side, but ignored the essence of the matter. No matter how brave he is, no matter how good he is at fighting, it can't change the fact that he is a poor boy. Chapter 61. After delivering the fruit platter, Li Changxing went to the bar and found a chair to sit down. The manager kept saying that it was troublesome in front of him. Li Changxing told him not to be courteous. About an hour later, Jiang Tao and the others came down from the third floor. Chen Wan and Su Ying wanted to go to the bar. Jiang Tao and Su Ying were still in love, so he naturally agreed. Finished. After seeing them, Li Changxing stood up. Yes, Changxing, want to go to the bar. I'm afraid you can't leave. Next time. Jiang Tao said. Okay. Li Changxing nodded. Walking to the bar, Jiang Tao paid the bill and was about to leave. At this time, Chen Wan suddenly took out 1,000 yuan from her bag and put it on the bar. This is a tip for him. With that, she pointed at Li Changxing. Zhang Mingming and the others were stunned. No, I'm not a waiter, so you don't have to give me a tip. Li Changxing said. Oh, if you're not a waiter, are you the boss? Okay, don't be embarrassed. I know you're short of money, otherwise you wouldn't come here to work. Take this tip. It's comparable to several days of your salary. With that, she directly pulled Zhang Mingming and the others out. After coming out of the KTV, Jiang Tao's face was somewhat ugly. Chen Wan, what do you mean? Changxing is my friend. You gave him a tip. Isn't that humiliating him? Yes, you're too much. Zhang Mingming also said. What's too much? He came here to work part-time for money. Is it wrong for me to give him money? What dignity? You think too much. For a small person living at the bottom, the most important thing is the benefits in hand. This, Jiang Tao opened his mouth and wanted to refute. After all, in his impression, Li Changxing was definitely not a person who valued money more than his dignity. But thinking that Li Changxing had to work in a KTV on Sunday, he could only sigh. He's probably in need of money. All right, I think Chen Wan is right. I didn't think of that. Su Ying pulled Jiang Tao's arm. Let's go and play together. At worst, we'll just have to watch our words the next time we see him. Exactly. After they left, the manager looked apologetic. Mr. Li, I'm so sorry. I asked you to deliver the fruit platter, but your friends misunderstood. I'm fine. Li Changxing smiled. I'll find time to pay her back. At this time, a beautiful figure rushed in and stood in front of the manager, panting. Manager, I'm really sorry. Something happened at home, so I'm late. I'm fine. The manager smiled. You texted me in advance, so I won't consider you absent from work. Hurry up and change into your work clothes and get to work. There are a lot of people today on Sunday. All right. The girl was very delicate, and her face was so tender that it seemed like water could be pinched out. Although she was wearing a simple half-sleeve shirt, one could still see her wonderful figure. When the girl walked into the changing room, the manager explained, "She's a waitress here. Her name is Yu Wei. Her family is relatively poor, and she's a high school student. She just turned 18 and comes here to work part-time every night. She's also a poor child." "Is that so?" Li Changsheng nodded and didn't care much. Li Changsheng sat there playing with his phone, and the manager and waitress didn't dare to disturb him. Originally, he thought that the day would end like this, but suddenly he heard a loud noise. The manager hurried over and said to Li Changsheng, "Brother Li, something happened in room 205. At this time, Li Changsheng lit a cigarette and smoked less than 2 puffs. "What happened?" Hurriedly putting out the cigarette, Li Changsheng asked. "Just now, Yu Wei sent wine to room 205. As a result, a guy took a fancy to Yu Wei and wanted to take advantage of Yu Wei. Yu Wei slapped him in the face, and now he won't let it go. Just now, several waitresses went to mediate, but they were also slapped in the face. Okay, let's go and have a look." Li Changsheng didn't say anything and went straight to the second floor. Many waiters followed behind him. Among them were 2 security guards. However, these 2 security guards looked like they came from the countryside. They were very honest. No one expected them to be of much use. "Brother Li, do you want us to go in and teach them a lesson?" If Brother Sheng was here, he would definitely not let our waitresses suffer. The manager said so. "That's true." Li Changxing nodded. He knew Wang Dongxing's character. "But don't be impulsive. If you can solve it peacefully, do it peacefully." Li Changsheng looked at the manager thoughtfully and then went to the room on the second floor together. At this moment, the room was in a mess, and there were many onlookers at the door. Li Changsheng led a group of waiters over. Because Li Changsheng was the backbone, the waiters all appeared to be filled with righteous indignation and aggressive. Many people took the initiative to make a path. In the room, Yu Wei was kneeling on the ground, looking delicate and pitiful. There was a clear palm print on her cheek. Her eyes were red, but she held back her tears and didn't let them flow down. A pear blossom in the rain. I feel sorry for her. This was Li Changxing's thought at this moment. "Little girl, you're the first one who dared to slap me in the face in Qingzhou. Now I'll give you 2 choices. 1, be a good girl and follow me. I've already booked a room in the Dihao Hotel. 2, you can go out from this door. I promise that in less than 3 days, you and your family will have some accidents." The young man with the surname Huang revealed a sinister smile and patted Yu Wei's cheek. "Do you understand? I've already booked a room in the Dihao Hotel. It's up to you whether you want to go or not. I won't force you." Behind the young man, a few of his companions laughed proudly. Among them, Li Changxing saw a few familiar figures. They were the ones who celebrated Lu Duoduo's birthday with him yesterday. Because the lights were dim and Li Changsheng was standing behind them, they didn't recognize Li Changxing. "Friend, this is Wang Xiao's place. How dare you cause trouble here?" The manager shouted as soon as he came in. "Cut the *king crap." Young Master Huang grabbed a wine bottle on the coffee table and smashed it at the manager's head. "Pa!" The manager dodged, and the bottle smashed against the wall and shattered. The next moment, a burly young man rushed up, grabbed the manager's hair, and kneed his lower abdomen. Almost in the blink of an eye, the manager clutched his waist and abdomen and fell to the ground with his body bent over. This time, the waiters behind the manager, who had been aggressive, were all stunned and subconsciously took a step back. The other party's attack was too fierce. When the muscular young man saw the waiters retreating, he cursed, "Cowards!" He turned around and stomped on the manager's head, then walked back to Huang Bingzhong's side, cursing and swearing. "Brother Li, what do we do?" One of the waiters stuttered. Li Changsheng was invited by Wang Dongsheng to watch over the place today. Now that the manager had been taken down, they could only count on Li Changsheng. Many people around them shook their heads. Initially, they had thought that the manager would lead a group of people forward aggressively, and a grand arm melee would break out. Who would have thought that the manager would die the moment he appeared, collapsing on the ground before he could even make a move? As for Li Changsheng, who was surrounded in the middle of the crowd, he did not look like a tough guy at all. The other party seemed to also see that Li Changsheng was the backbone of the group. The fat man, surnamed Huang, twisted his neck and stood up, then pointed at Li Changsheng's nose and scolded, "Little bastard, get out of here right now. You can't interfere with your grandpa Huang's business." At this time, the other people in the room finally recognized Li Changsheng. "Isn't that Lu Duoduo's tutor? The one we saw at the bar yesterday. What a coincidence. I didn't expect to meet him here again. Didn't Lu Duoduo say that he's good at fighting? I wonder if he dares to offend young Master Huang." The crowd was abuzz with discussion. Although they recognized Li Changsheng, they did not hear any intention to speak up for him. Instead, it was a young man who had been sitting beside Li Changsheng yesterday who hesitated for a moment, then walked over to Li Changsheng's side and spoke in a low voice. "Brother Li, that fat man is young Master Huang. His name is Huang Bingzhong. His family is in the real estate business and is very influential. And that tall one is young Master Yang Xiaowei. He's a martial artist. The biggest fitness center in Qingzhou is run by his family. If it's not necessary, it's best if you don't interfere in today's matter." Chapter 62. "So it's you." A sharp voice sounded. It was a woman's voice. Li Changsheng remembered that yesterday, he also went to celebrate Lu Duoduo's birthday. Young Master Huang. He is the one who forced Wang Lu to slap herself and perform a pole dance in front of everyone. What? The fatty surnamed Huang flew into a rage. "Wang Lu is my sister. You dare to bully her." "Bingzhong, he is Duoduo's teacher," the young man hurriedly explained when he saw that the dish was about to be ruined. "If he is Duoduo's relative, I will give Duoduo some face. But a broken home tutor dares to bully my sister. How can I let him go?" As he spoke, he grabbed Li Changsheng's collar and yelled, "Brat, you better kneel on the ground and call me daddy," then jump down from the second-floor window. "I'll spare you this time because you're Duoduo's teacher. Otherwise, I'll find someone to cripple you in minutes." With that, he pointed to the sturdy Yang Xiaowei who was practicing martial arts at the side. "Do you see my brother? With your level, he alone can beat 100 of you." In order to cooperate with Huang Bingzhong, Yang Xiaowei clenched his fists, making a cracking sound. At the same time, he rolled up half of his sleeves, revealing his sturdy muscles. "A broken home tutor dares to bully my sister Wang Lu. Originally, I didn't know where to find you, but I didn't expect you to come knocking on my door." Huang Bingzhong grinned. The young man next to him wanted to say something, but was directly pulled to the side by Yang Xiaowei. "Xiaohu, you are too kind. He is a stranger, and you have only met him once. You don't have to defend him. If you speak for him again, don't blame me for not recognizing you as a friend." Hearing Yang Xiaowei's words, the young man called Xiao, who hesitated for a moment. Finally, he sighed and stepped back. Indeed, he and Li Changsheng did not have much feelings. "Boy, why are you still not kneeling down for me? Or else you will not be able to bear the consequences." The fatty grabbed Li Changsheng's collar with one hand and slapped Li Changsheng's face with the other hand. "You want to save the damsel in distress? You're not qualified." Just as the waiters were trembling in fear and the group of people surnamed Huang were extremely arrogant and proud, Li Changsheng, who had not spoken since he came in, suddenly kneed Huang Bingzhong in the stomach. Huang Bingzhong only felt a pain in his stomach, and then he, who weighed more than 180 kilograms, flew backward with his head tilted back. He smashed into the table behind him, and the wine bottle on it shattered along with the coffee table. Their companions were caught in the crossfire, and the girls were so scared that they cried out in alarm. Even Yang Xiaowei, who was obviously the strongest in the group, couldn't help but stare blankly. With his incomparable expertise, he could naturally see that the angle and strength of this attack could be considered perfect. Stunned for a moment, Yang Xiaowei, as the strongest fighter in the group, immediately flew into a rage. Just as he was about to raise his fist and give this young man a ruthless lesson, Li Changsheng seemed to have eyes on the back of his head. He picked up a nearby wine bottle and smashed it behind him. The angle was just enough to bypass Yang Xiaowei's fist and hit his head, and the bottle was smashed into pieces. This was definitely more impactful than the scene where Yang Xiaowei hit the manager. It was simply comparable to a scene in a kung fu movie. Precise, fierce, ruthless, and without any sloppiness. If it wasn't for the fact that he was used to doing things like bleeding people, it was absolutely impossible for him to make such a beautiful attack. At this moment, no one could ignore the existence of this thin and weak young man. That ordinary face in the eyes of the crowd was frightening. You actually beat up young Master Huang and young Master Yang. The young man surnamed who subconsciously swallowed a mouthful of saliva. The others looked at Li Changsheng in horror. No wonder Lu Duo said he's very good at fighting, but he's in trouble. A tutor provoked young Master Huang and young Master Yang. I'm afraid he's out of luck. Li Changsheng showed his invincible might, but these rich second generations looked at him with pity. The reason why young Master Huang and young Master Yang were so tyrannical was naturally not because of how good they were at fighting, but because of the power behind them. If Li Changsheng had a background like Ludwood was, perhaps there would be a fierce battle. But Li Changsheng's identity was just a tutor, so beating people was tantamount to poking a hole in the sky. Hearing the discussion of these rich second generations, the surrounding onlookers seemed to understand that this unknown young man in the KTV seemed to have caused a big trouble. Just when everyone looked at Li Changsheng with pity and wanted to see how Li Changsheng would end up, they only saw Li Changsheng do something that made everyone feel inconceivable. He walked to the other side of the tea table that was not broken, grabbed 2 wine bottles, shook them in his hand, and then smashed the bottles on Huang Bingzhong and Yang Xiaowei's heads. Papa! 2 crisp sounds were not sloppy at all. Young Master Huang's fat body rolled on the ground while holding his head. Yang Xiaowei, who was the most powerful among them, finally cried out in pain. Then Li Changsheng clapped his hands, pulled up Yu Wei, who was kneeling on the ground, and pulled her out of the room. Just as they left the room, Yu Wei stopped. Wait a minute. What? Do you still want to go back and kneel there? Or are you afraid of being retaliated and want to recommend yourself? Li Changsheng's words were very unpleasant to hear. Yu Wei's eyes turned red, shook her head, and said pitifully, My legs are numb. Legs numb? Li Changsheng just remembered that Yu Wei had been kneeling there for 20 minutes, and her blood was not flowing. It would be strange if her legs were not numb when she stood up. After hesitating for a moment, Li Changsheng held her slender waist, and then suddenly picked her up from the ground. At that moment, Yu Wei wanted to struggle, but the warmth of his chest and the masculine breath gave her a warmth and peace of mind that she had never felt before. Tell these idiots to get the hell out of here. If they dare to behave atrociously here, call me directly if anything happens. After speaking, Li Changsheng seemed to have thought of something. He looked at the KTV manager who was still on the ground and said in a cold voice, Manager Liu, you don't have to act anymore. You are fired, and you don't have to come to work anymore. Manager Liu's body suddenly shook when he heard Li Changsheng's words. He covered his forehead and looked up. Why? You deliberately arranged today's matter, didn't you? If you're not convinced by my decision, you can call Wang Dongsheng. But I advise you not to do this. If Wang Dongsheng finds out the truth, I promise you that you will spend the rest of your life in a wheelchair. After speaking, he turned around and strode towards the stairs, leaving the crowd with a thin but stalwart figure. Less than 20 minutes after Li Changsheng left the KTV, he received a call from Lu Duo. Brotherly, I heard that you beat up Huang Bingzhong and Yang Xiaowei. You're in big trouble now. No, I have to talk to my dad and ask him to help you mediate. No need. Li Changsheng directly refused. It's just 2 small fish. I can handle them. All right. Lu Duo sighed. By the way, where are you now, brotherly? I heard that Yang Xiaowei's dad has sent people to look for you everywhere. You must be careful. Now. Li Changsheng looked at Yu Wei, who was standing in the corner of the room with a fearful expression. He smiled and said, I'm in the hotel, preparing to sleep. Upon hearing Li Chongqing's words, her delicate body suddenly trembled. Chapter 63. Are you scared? Li Chongqing looked at Yu Wei, who was shivering in the corner like a little lamb, and asked with a smile. At first glance, this girl reminded him of the red-clothed figure that had fallen in front of him. No, no. Yu Wei shook her head. Towards this man, she had a sense of fear, but when she thought of the scene in the private room where he displayed his invincible might, she missed the feeling of being held in his arms. What am I thinking? Yu Wei's face was slightly red. Li Chongqing had already walked in front of her, and her body couldn't help but tremble slightly. In such a big hotel, a man and a woman alone in the middle of the night, anyone would think in that direction, not to mention she was a very sensitive woman. Don't be so nervous. Come on, smile. Li Chongqing used his finger to lift her delicate jade-like chin. Looking at the tear-stained face, he couldn't help but wipe away her tears. Yu Wei's body was stiff, and her mind was blank. Be my girlfriend, Li Chongqing said. He felt that after living for 99 lifetimes, it was time for him to let go of some things. It was time for him to properly enjoy this world of mortals. Yu Wei raised her head and stared at the boy in front of her with her big eyes. In the end, she didn't nod or shake her head. Then take it as a yes. Li Chongqing smiled and picked up the coat that was thrown on the bed. Seeing Yu Wei's confused look, Li Chongqing smiled and said, I'm going back to the dorm to sleep. The school should be closed at this time, right? Yu Wei blurted out. But as soon as the words came out, she regretted it. As expected, Li Chongqing revealed a playful look. You mean, I'll stay here for the night? Yu Wei opened her mouth. Then, a certain someone got up quickly. She lowered her head and almost shrank in her chest. All right, since the school is closed, I'll get another room next door. Li Chongqing wasn't a saint, but he couldn't force a girl to do anything. Moreover, this girl looked delicate, but inside her body, there was an incomparably strong heart. She was like a wildflower in the world in a storm, a very weak but very strong flower. Li Chongqing smiled and waved his hand. Goodbye, little flower. Little flower? Yu Wei looked up in shock. The door had already been closed, and her gaze was somewhat complicated. For such a man to not think of taking advantage of her at this time, even if he was bad, he couldn't be that bad. Letting him be my boyfriend seems to be a good choice. In an instant, Yu Wei's face turned red, but her heart was filled with sweetness. She had been alone and strong for 18 years. Finally, she felt that there was no need to be strong anymore, because there was someone who could protect her. That night, Yu Wei stood in front of the window of the hotel, looking down at the heavy traffic below. Her family was poor, and she had never stayed in such a big hotel. However, she didn't feel sleepy at this moment. She knew that it wasn't because of the luxurious bed or the decorations, but because a certain figure quietly passed through her mind over and over again. The next morning, when Li Chongqing knocked on Yu Wei's door, he saw a beautiful but somewhat haggard face. I can tell that you didn't sleep well last night. Li Chongqing smiled. I'll take you to find breakfast. As he spoke, he took her hand without any explanation. Yu Wei, who had never been touched by a man in her life, surprisingly didn't feel the slightest repulsion. Instead, she followed behind Li Chongqing like a newly married wife. Today is Monday. I have to go to class, Yu Wei said in a low voice. She looked at her watch. It was already 7 o'clock. The morning self-study session in high school is over. There's still half an hour before your first class. How about this? I'll buy you breakfast, and we'll eat while walking. Okay, Yu Wei nodded. She enjoyed the feeling of being cared for, but soon, her face showed a bit of surprise. You want to go to school with me? Yes, those guys from yesterday won't give up easily. They'll go to school to make trouble for you. You're my girlfriend. Of course, I have to take care of your worries. At the same time, I'll let those guys know that bullying people is a very risky thing to do. I'll teach them a lesson. But Yu Wei was a bit worried. No buts. Don't worry, I'll protect you. By the way, my name is Li Chongqing. I'll be your boyfriend from now on, Li Chongqing said. Yu Wei smiled. In fact, She remembered Li Chongqing's name yesterday. He walked Yu Wei to the school gate. At this time, many students were eating breakfast outside. When they saw the goddess of Sixth High, Yu Wei, holding hands with a boy, many people subconsciously slowed down their footsteps. Especially when they saw Li Chongqing's face clearly, the surprise in their eyes couldn't be any greater. Originally, I thought that holding hands with you made us look like the Condor heroes. But the people around us must be thinking that you're the goddess, but I'm at most a walk-on. Yu Wei, who was originally a bit shy, couldn't help but laugh. The students passing by were even more stunned. This was definitely a beautiful scene. The only regret was that the person holding the school beauty's hand wasn't them. Looking at the envious, jealous, and hateful gazes around him, especially those that were clearly saying that a juicy cabbage had been eaten by a pig, Li Chongqing suddenly did something that made everyone dumbfounded. He turned around and fiercely kissed Yu Wei's face. At that moment, Yu Wei's body, which was trembling with laughter, suddenly stiffened. Li Chongqing naturally held Yu Wei's slender waist and made a provocative look at the passing boys. At this moment, a lot of people couldn't help but have the urge to beat this hateful and arrogant guy up. However, when the bell rang, a lot of people had to give up on their thoughts and quickly ran to the school. After all, middle school students didn't have the guts to be late for their first class. I'm leaving. Yu Wei wiped Li Chongqing's saliva on her cheek. Seeing that there was no one around, she mustered up her courage and tiptoed to give Li Chongqing a light peck on the cheek. Then, like a frightened kitten, she turned around and ran back to the school. Looking at the fleeing figure, Li Chongqing recalled the feeling just now and couldn't help but shake his head and chuckle. At this moment, an old man with graying temples walked over. "Student, why aren't you in class yet?" "I'm not a student here." The only person who could appear here was the teacher. Li Chongqing was quite respectful to the teacher. "If you're not a student here, then it's a bit unreasonable to pick up our school's most beautiful girl." Li Chongqing was speechless. He didn't understand what the teacher meant. Don't be nervous. This old man is a very open-minded person. However, Yu Wei is a very outstanding child. She is my student, so I have to be responsible for her. What do you think, young man? Are you interested in having a chat with this old man in my office? Are you trying to help Yu Wei?" Li Chongqing asked. The old man shook his head and laughed. "You can say that." Chapter 64. The old man walked all the way into the school. During this time, Lu Duo called to ask where Li Chongqing was. He told Li Chongqing that Yang Xiaowei's father had sent a lot of people and threatened to destroy Li Chongqing. At this time, they had already entered the teaching building and came to the 4th floor of the teaching building. In the room with the sign of the principal's office, Li Chongqing knew that the old man turned out to be the principal of this middle school. "My name is Wu Ruowang. Everyone calls me Mr. Wu. Little brother, you should also introduce yourself." He took out a disposable paper cup and poured a glass of water for Li Chongqing and put it on the table. Then, he sat down on the sofa and looked at Li Chongqing with a smile. "My name is Li Chongqing. I'm a student at Qingzhou University." "A college student." The old man chuckled. "Yu Wei is a middle school student. Is this considered as an old cow eating young grass?" Li Chongqing didn't know how to answer the old man's question. "Just kidding." Wu Ruowang chuckled. "Generally speaking, if I know that a student, especially a top student like Yu Wei, is in a relationship at an important juncture of life in the 3rd year of high school, I should mercilessly break up the couple. However, Yu Wei has always been sensible. Although you don't look very good, I can see that you're not a bad person. However, it's hard to know what's in a person's heart. Just by looking at the appearance, even a person with a discerning eye will sometimes make a mistake." The great Confucian sage of the Ming Dynasty, Wang Yangming, once appreciated Yin Song very much. He even inscribed the plaque of Bell Mountain Hall for Yin Song's East Hall. Who would have thought that Yin Song would eventually become the head of the 6 powerful ministers of the Ming Dynasty and bring chaos to the court? So, I'm still a little worried. Wu Ruowang smiled. He saw that Li Chongqing was looking at the furnishings in the office, especially staring at a set of Go on his table. That was the endgame he played with a teacher in the school who was proficient in Go. At that time, he had the upper hand. Unfortunately, the teacher left halfway because of something, so he didn't get the final victory. Wu Ruolang was very regretful. You know Go? Wu Ruolang asked. I know a thing or two. Li Chongqing smiled. He had lived for thousands of years, and there were no entertainment activities in ancient times. Li Chongqing could be called a master of the four arts. Then let's have one. Sure. Li Chongqing nodded. When he woke up this time, he found that the way of entertainment in this world had changed. Playing Go was rarely seen in people's lives. Of course, Li Chongqing had heard that there were Go games on the internet, but Li Chongqing had no formal contact with the internet. Wu Ruolang was about to put away the cards and start a new game when Li Chongqing said, "No need. I'll take the white pieces and continue to play with you." Are you sure? Wu Ruolang chuckled. In this game, his black pieces had the upper hand. Li Chongqing actually wanted to play the white pieces. Wasn't this seeking his own death? It's just entertainment. Li Chongqing smiled. All right. The two began to play. At first, Wu Ruolang didn't take Li Chongqing seriously. After all, there were not many young people who knew Go, and those who could play Go to a high level were even rarer. However, after more than a dozen pieces, Wu Ruolang found that something was wrong. This young man actually had the ability to reverse the decline and turn the tide. This young man doesn't know a thing or two. He is clearly proficient in Go. At first, when he heard that Li Chongqing was going to play the white pieces, the old man wanted to take the opportunity to dampen Li Chongqing's spirit. But now, he couldn't help but take Li Chongqing seriously and adjust his attitude. Wu Ruolang had studied the Go path for many years. He was old and steady, like a veteran on the battlefield. Li Chongqing, on the other hand, showed his ability and fought for every penny. He played to his heart's content and fought for every inch of land. Young man, you have to look at the big picture and Go. You can't be entangled with temporary gains and losses. After adjusting his attitude, Wu Ruolang played steadily and gradually took control of the situation. He opened his mouth and pointed out to Li Chongqing. However, Li Chongqing just curled his lips, and then the game became more violent, like a storm. Wu Ruolang felt a murderous intent from the chessboard, especially when Li Chongqing put down 6 pieces in a row and connected them into a line. In an instant, Wu Ruolang's advantage disappeared. Li Chongqing attacked from the middle and connected the pieces in the corner into a line. Wu Ruolang couldn't help but wipe the cold sweat on his head. He felt a sense of desolation, as if his army had been defeated. After the last piece was put down, Wu Ruolang slumped in his chair and stared at the game in a daze. After a long time, he let out a long breath and said, "I lost." It was no wonder that Wu Ruolang looked like this. After playing Go for so many years, he thought that he was almost the same as a professional Go player. Although he had won and lost in Go, he had never lost so tragically and soul-stirring. If this person was in ancient times, he would be a figure like Emperor Taizu of Song. Wu Ruolang couldn't help but sigh. Li Chongqing had an ordinary appearance and seemed to be honest and considerate, but Wu Ruolang had seen through his inner thoughts from the chessboard. Killing from the heart and cutting off all means of retreat reminded him of Bai Qi, the god of slaughter, and Xiangyu, the overlord. This person was righteous, a hero of indomitable spirit. If he was evil, then he was a devil who slaughtered all living things. Phew. Wu Ruolang let out a long breath, and his expression was somewhat complicated. At this moment, he didn't know whether it was good or bad for Yu Wei to find such a boyfriend. I hope you can still have a tender side after killing all the people in the world. Wu Ruolang said meaningfully. Don't worry. Even if I, Li Chongqing, walk all the paths of Azura, the people I want to protect will never fall into hell. Well, Yu Wei's class will be over soon. You can go and find her. Li Chongqing nodded and turned to walk out of the principal's office. When he opened the door, a girl walked towards him. She was very beautiful and didn't look like a student. She looked to be about 24 or 25 years old. The girl looked at Li Chongqing strangely, but didn't say anything and walked into the office. Dad, Chun Ligua, President Shun wants to invite you to our university to give a speech. I've already agreed on behalf of President Shun. Can't you discuss it with your dad? Wu Ruowang smiled when he saw his daughter. But I can't refuse President Chen's request. After all, without his help, you can't be a teacher at Qingzhou University at your age. As he spoke, he reached out to collect the chess pieces on the table. You played Go with Mr. Wang again? How was it? Who won? You two have been playing Go for so many years. Mr. Wang will lose confidence in Go because of you. Sigh. Speaking of Go, Wu Ruowang sighed. Your Uncle Wang and I played half of the game. We were going to win, but he had to leave because he had something to do. Who knew that we would be completely defeated when we wanted to educate a young man? A young man? The one who just walked out? Wu Xiaowan was puzzled. Yes, he is a student of Qingzhou University. Maybe he has even attended your class. This guy is amazing. In ancient times, he would be a legendary figure like Zhao Zilong of Changshan and Ji Ma Chao of Shiliang. What? Wu Xiaowan was shocked. It was the first time that her dad gave such a high evaluation to a young man. Dad, what's the name of the young man just now? I think his name is Li Changsheng. He is a freshman. Freshman, Li Changsheng. Wu Xiaowan silently repeated the name twice in her heart and remembered it. Chapter 65. Lu Duo rushed over from home. When he saw Li Changsheng was sitting under the basketball hoop in the school field, looking at the clouds in a daze. Brotherly, you still have the mood to be here. Do you know that Huang Bingzhong and Yang Xiaowei's families have sent people to look for you all over the world? Is that so? Tell me about their background. Lu Duo sighed. Huang Bingzhong's father is the chairman of Glory World Real Estate Company. His name is Huang Bo, and he is a businessman. However, he is very powerful in Qingzhou. He knows some people from all walks of life, especially those with official backgrounds. He is a very difficult person to deal with. Since you hit his son, he will not let you go easily. It is very likely that he will send you to prison. Yang Xiaowei's background is relatively simple. His father is called Yang Chenggang. His family's business is involved in all kinds of things, but it is actually in the gray area. His background in society is very powerful. His father also knows martial arts and is the successor of the Iron Thread Fist. If you fall into the hands of Huang Bingzhong's father, it will be better. That Yang Chenggang is ruthless. If you fall into his hands, he will definitely make you disabled. Is that so? Lu Duo was very anxious, but Li Changsheng looked indifferent. Brotherly, my relationship with the two of them is just ordinary. You hit them a little too hard this time. His family is furious. My words are useless. If it doesn't work, I will ask my father to come forward and mediate. No need. Li Changsheng smiled. I will deal with this matter. You don't have to intervene. Also, that girl called Wang Lu, help me warn her. If she loses the bet, she has to admit defeat. Don't look for this today and find another tomorrow to take revenge on me. If there's a next time, even if she is a girl, I will beat her until she looks for her teeth on the ground. This, Lu Duo did not expect that Li Changsheng would still have the mood to threaten Wang Lu at this time. However, through several contacts, he could see what kind of person Li Changsheng was. He was definitely a person who was not afraid of anything. Brotherly, I've already passed a message. You have to be careful. I didn't go to class in the morning. I have to go immediately, otherwise that teacher will call my father. Okay, take care. Li Changsheng nodded. After Lu Duo left, Li Changsheng took out his phone and dialed Su Xiaolan's number. Su Xiaolan picked up the phone almost instantly, and a slightly excited voice came through. Sir, what can I do for you? I'm at number 6 middle school now. Come here before 12. I have something to tell you. All right. Su Xiaolan agreed immediately. Li Changsheng had already hung up the phone. Originally, after his rebirth, he did not want to live the life of fighting and killing like before. However, after these few incidents, he finally realized that even if he had very strong martial strength, it was not enough to intimidate those people. He could fight off wave after wave of people, but at the same time, they could organize wave after wave of attacks. Perhaps he wasn't afraid. But Yu Wei was different. No matter how powerful he was, he couldn't guarantee that they wouldn't harm Yu Wei. Therefore, he had to make those people completely afraid. Su Xiaolin was undoubtedly the best candidate. As Li Changxing's former subordinate, Su Xiaolin was already an all-powerful big shot 30 years ago. After 30 years, according to Chu Yaotian, Su Xiaolin's power almost covered the entire north. This was also the reason why Li Changxing looked for Su Xiaolin. Although Chu Yaotian had a lot of power in Qingzhou, it could be seen from the Qin father and son's repeated actions that as he retired behind the scenes over the years, his influence was getting smaller and smaller. Su Xiaolin was obviously more able to suppress these people than Chu Yaotian. After hanging up the phone, Su Xiaolin immediately shouted outside, "Secretary Dong, come in." A girl in uniform with an excellent temperament and appearance walked in. She looked to be about 27 or 28 years old, but she had a very hot body. "Director Su, you're looking for me?" This was Su Xiaolin's secretary. Her name was Dong Jia, and she was a rich young lady. Her father's company had a cooperation with Su Xiaolin, so she was put in Su Xiaolin's place. Everyone knew about Su Xiaolin's power. If she could be Su Xiaolin's secretary in the future, everyone would have to look up to her. Cancel the lunch appointment immediately and ask Xiao Yi to prepare the car. "I'm going to Qingzhou." "What?" Dong Jia was stunned. One had to know that the person Su Xiaolin had an appointment with at noon was the chairman of a certain industrial group in the north. He wanted to discuss a project that was worth tens of billions. For this project, Su Xiaolin's team had worked day and night for more than 5 months. At this time, Su Xiaolin chose to cancel the lunch appointment, which meant that his efforts for the past 6 months had been wasted. "Just do as I tell you to." "Okay." Although Dong Jia was full of questions, she did not dare to ask. She took out her phone and made a call, explaining the reason and apologizing repeatedly. Obviously, the other party did not understand Su Xiaolin's behavior. 5 minutes later, Dong Jia hung up the phone. "Director Su, I've already canceled the lunch appointment." "Okay, come with me to Qingzhou." Su Xiaolin picked up his phone and directly went downstairs to the parking lot. The driver was already prepared. "Director Su, are we leaving now?" "Immediately." Su Xiaolin nodded and directly got into the car. Dong Jia sat in the front passenger seat. The car started, exited the underground parking lot, and headed straight for the highway. It would take 2 hours to drive from Shangqing to Qingzhou. It was 9:30 right now, so they could arrive just before 11:30. "Speed up on the road. It's okay even if you exceed the speed limit," Su Xiaolin ordered. The driver hurriedly nodded, but in his heart, he was very confused. Although this big boss always did things quickly and decisively, he paid a lot of attention to safety. Usually, he wouldn't even be willing to go a little faster. What kind of important matter was it today that made him take the initiative to speed up? "Director Su, are you in such a hurry because of the phone call you received?" Dong Jia had been waiting at the door. Naturally, he heard that Su Xiaolin received a phone call before making these arrangements. "That's right." Su Xiaolin nodded, rubbed his temples, and said, "Xiaodong, book the best restaurant in Qingzhou for me right now. When we get there, decorate it. I want to book the whole place. Don't let anyone disturb me and that person. Then, Xiao Yi and I will go and pick up that person." "Director Su, who is that person?" "He actually wants you to go in person." The driver's face showed surprise. Like Dong Jia, he was forced to be Su Xiaolin's chauffeur. He was a rich young master, but he was not the kind of rich young master who was foppish at all. He was very motivated and ambitious. He had been Su Xiaolin's driver for 3 years and learned a lot. With Su Xiaolin's personality, in the past 3 years, he had never seen Su Xiaolin personally go out to greet even the governor of a province. So he was very curious. What kind of person was that person that made Su Xiaolin so humble? Su Xiaolin smiled and said, "He is the person I want to see even in my dreams." In his words, his eyes were full of gentleness. Could it be his dream lover? Yi Huan and Dong Jia looked at each other, and the doubts in their eyes grew stronger. Chapter 66. There were 4 classes in the morning. When Li Changshang sent Lu Duo off, The bell signaling the end of the second class rang. Yu Wei, who usually studied at her desk after class, walked out of the classroom and went to the sports field. When she saw Li Changsheng standing under the basketball hoop, she ran over like a dancing butterfly. When she reached him, she realized that she had lost her composure and blushed. Li Changsheng walked over to Yu Wei naturally and held her hand. This scene was witnessed by the students who had just walked out of the school building. A brief moment of silence ensued. Many of the boys who admired Yu Wei could not help but feel their hearts break. Although there had been rumors since the second class that the campus belle, Yu Wei, had found a boyfriend, most of the students still held onto a fluke. They thought that it might be Yu Wei's brother, a relative, or a rumor that someone else had deliberately made up. In the past, there had often been gossip about Yu Wei, but it had all been proven to be rumors in the end. However, the actions of Li Changsheng and Yu Wei at this moment clearly showed that they were a couple in love. The goddess that they had secretly admired had finally thrown herself into someone else's arms. Don't run around after school. Let's go out for lunch, Li Changsheng said to Yu Wei. Yu Wei nodded gently. Soon, the bell rang. Yu Wei hurriedly ran back to the school building. Many people couldn't help but take a few more glances at Li Changsheng when they passed by him. They wanted to see what the guy who had captured their goddess looked like. However, in the end, they were all disappointed and felt that the heavens were unfair. Li Changsheng sat on the sports field for a while and felt bored. He walked into the school building and arrived at the entrance of grade 12 class 2. Yu Wei was sitting in the first row by the window. Not long after Li Changsheng appeared, the math teacher in class noticed this audacious guy who dared to chase a girl all the way to the entrance of the school building. Many students who recognized Li Changsheng began to whisper among themselves. The 40-year-old mathematics teacher, who had always been known for being strict, finally couldn't help but walk to the door after writing down a difficult problem on the blackboard. Many people craned their necks to look, thinking that this reckless guy was definitely going to be in big trouble this time. Yu Wei also bit her lip, her heart in her throat. This math teacher had a deep-seated hatred for puppy love. The classroom door opened. Li Changsheng was leaning against the wall, deep in thought. When he turned around, he saw a stern face glaring at him. Classmate, which class are you from? What are you doing here? I'm here to look for Yu Wei. I'm her boyfriend. After Li Changsheng said this, the discussion in the classroom came to an abrupt end. Wasn't this too blatant? Yu Wei had always been the math teacher's favorite student. Everyone could imagine how angry the math teacher would be when he heard this. Sure enough, the math teacher's face instantly darkened. He stared at Li Changsheng with his murderous eyes, but to his regret, none of the students in the entire school could withstand his fierce gaze. But this guy in front of him, who didn't seem to be anything special, was still calm after being stared at by him for a full minute. There wasn't the slightest bit of guilt on his face, and he was as calm as a pool of clear water. Someone who is as calm as a lake can be called a general. The math teacher suddenly thought of this sentence, and the anger on his face instantly dissipated. He suddenly admired the young man in front of him. He withdrew his gaze and asked the girl sitting by the door for a piece of paper and a pen. He then handed it to Li Changsheng. Do you see the problem on the blackboard? Yes, I see it. Li Changsheng took the paper from the math teacher's hand and did not say anything. Instead, he started to write on it. A minute later, he finished writing on the paper and handed it to the math teacher. The math teacher's face showed some suspicion. The best student in the class was still frowning bitterly, unable to find a solution to this problem. Li Changsheng, on the other hand, had only glanced at the question and started to solve it. Although the speed of his writing just now could be said to be like moving clouds and flowing water, she still had some doubts. However, when she finished reading Li Changsheng's solution, the suspicion on her face completely disappeared and was replaced with surprise. The algorithm was rigorous, organized, and accurate. Most importantly, the handwriting was neat. Not bad. The math teacher smiled and walked to the podium. He moved his chair out and placed it in front of Li Changsheng. This class still has more than 20 minutes. Sit here and listen. This move made everyone in the class completely dumbfounded. Shouldn't the math teacher, who had always hated puppy love, go out and break up the couple? Shouldn't he have brought this reckless guy to the Department of Political Education and let his parents take him back? Not only did he not drive him away, but he even moved a chair out for him. What was going on? After moving Li Chongqing's chair, the math teacher went back to class. Along the way, many teachers who passed by cast curious gazes at this strange scene. Finally, the class ended. Yu Yue came out and handed a cup of water to Li Chongqing. She gently said, "You must be thirsty. Drink some water first." The other students in the class craned their necks to look. Although many people were dissatisfied with Li Chongqing for stealing their dream girl, they still cast admiring gazes at Li Chongqing. For these middle school students who were still in awe of the teachers, Li Chongqing's actions were no doubt like a Zhao Zilong who killed his way out of 100,000 Chao soldiers. It even had a hint of fantasy. The impact was very great. The fourth class was art. The art teacher was a young female teacher. She looked strangely at Li Chongqing, who was sitting at the door, but didn't say anything. She directly walked into the classroom. At this time, the sound of greetings came from every classroom. When the voices of each class had just quieted down, the math teacher who had left not long ago came back. In his hand was a test paper. Li Chongqing was a bit amused. He didn't expect this teacher to be so interesting. When the class ended, he left in a hurry. It turned out that he went to get the test paper. "Student, can you solve this test paper for me?" The teacher clearly didn't believe Li Chongqing's speed of solving the question. He wanted to see if Li Chongqing was able to solve it so quickly because he had heard the solution from the teacher in the class. He wanted to verify it with the test paper. Okay. Li Chongqing happened to have nothing to do at this time. He took the test paper from the teacher's hand. At this time, many people in the class were looking at the door. Even the art teacher's curiosity was piqued. He drew a landscape painting on a blackboard and had the students copy it. He walked to the door and looked outside through the glass. At this time, Li Chongqing had already started to write and solve the question. Chapter 67. The mathematics teacher wanted to test Li Chongqing's ability. The questions on this paper were obviously more difficult. Li Chongqing began to write. His writing was like flowing water. Soon, he easily solved the arithmetic, fill-in-the-blanks, and multiple-choice questions. At this time, Principal Wu Ruang, who had just sent his daughter off and was about to go downstairs, saw this scene. Out of curiosity, he also came over. After a while, many people were curious about what was going on. Li Chongqing was surrounded by a group of teachers. Even the art teacher in class opened the door and walked out. Being surrounded by so many people, Li Chongqing's lips curled into a smile. He wanted to give these people a bit of a shock and speed up his solving. Therefore, the remaining half of the test paper was quickly solved by him in less than 5 minutes. He began to answer the questions as soon as he glanced at them. There was no need to think at all, especially the last question. It was an additional question. This was also the question that the mathematics teacher used to test Li Chongqing. He found this question in the question bank, and it was a very difficult question. He originally planned to explain it to the students in a few days. It was very unlikely that Li Chongqing had solved this question in advance. "Student Li, you have to look at the last question seriously," the mathematics teacher said with a hint of pride. He increased the difficulty of this question by a little. Even the mathematics teachers who taught with him had to spend a lot of effort to solve this question. Sure enough, when they saw the last question, a few teachers frowned slightly. They were deep in thought. Li Chongqing, on the other hand, only smiled lightly. Then, under the dumbfounded gazes of the teachers, he began to write and solve the problem. It only took him a short 30 seconds to solve it. The rarest thing was that the handwriting was neat and clear. Moreover, the solution was very novel. This solution, the mathematics teacher touched his chin and was about to comment when Li Chongqing put his pen down again. Under everyone's surprised gazes, he wrote another solution at the side. Then, he turned over the test paper and wrote more than 10 solutions, filling the back of the test paper with a carefree feeling of crushing dry weeds and smashing rotten wood. This time, everyone, including the math teacher, widened their eyes. Principal Wu Ruolang was the first to applaud. "Teacher Liu, Can you take a look at how many questions are wrong on this test paper? Wu Ruowang said expectantly. He admired this boy who dared to pursue a girl to school from the bottom of his heart. Okay. The math teacher picked up the paper and started to look through the questions one by one. Everyone was waiting with rapt attention. Half a minute later, he let out a long breath. All correct. At this moment, the gazes of all the teachers changed. He's simply a mathematical genius. One of the teachers praised. Classmate, which class are you from? Another teacher also asked. He wondered when his school had such an outstanding student. Why hadn't he heard of him before? I'm not from 6th High. I'm a freshman at Qingzhou University. Li Changsheng said with a smile. He respected his teachers very much. Although there were many teachers in the society who were disgraceful, most of them were still worthy of respect. I see. Principal Wu, I think Student Li can come to our school to be his substitute teacher. A teacher said with a smile. That's right. Student Li, are you interested? Asked Wu Ruowang with a smile. Okay, I'll come when I have an internship in my 3rd year. It's a deal, said Wu Ruowang with a smile. After chatting with several teachers for a while, Li Changsheng completely became their favorite. This undoubtedly had a great impact on many students in the school. He chased a girl to the door of the class and made all the teachers so happy. This guy is too awesome. Yu Wei, is he really your boyfriend? The girl sitting next to Yu Wei looked outside curiously. Yes, Yu Wei nodded. I'm so happy. The girl rested her chin on her hand. The boys in the class who were not convinced by Li Changsheng also had a sense of worship at this moment. It turns out that he's a hidden master. It's a pity for the goddess of my dreams. Someone sighed. Finally, the bell for the end of class rang. The teachers were about to leave. At this time, the art teacher suddenly thought of something and asked, Student Li, do you know how to draw? The other teachers also showed an expectant look. He was so good at mathematics. According to Principal Wu, this guy was also very good at Go. If he could draw, he would be really versatile and could be called an all-rounder. Of course, if he could not draw, it would not affect the image of Li Changsheng in their hearts. His terrifying problem-solving speed had already left an indelible impression in their hearts. I know a little. Li Changsheng smiled and then took the initiative to walk into the classroom. The students who were about to come out when they heard the bell ring sat down obediently with doubts. Li Changsheng picked up the chalk and glanced at the landscape painting left by the art teacher on the blackboard. Then he began to write. The tip of the brush was vigorous and powerful. With just a few strokes, the outline of a mountain appeared in front of everyone. Then trees, birds, and rivers appeared one by one. Li Changsheng's painting was not complicated. It could be said that it was a simplified version of the landscape painting by the art teacher. However, with just a few simple strokes, a bleak and desolate mood came over. The scene of autumn was displayed in front of everyone. Good. The art teacher was the first to say good. How can this be called just a little? His painting skills have probably already reached the level of a master. Then, Li Changsheng began to inscribe next to him in the form of cursive script. Independent cold autumn. The Xiangjiang River goes north at the head of the Tangerine continent. Thousands of mountains are red. Layers of forests are dyed red. The river is blue. Hundreds of barges compete. Fish fly shallow. Eagles soar in the sky. Thousands of creatures compete for freedom under the frost. Ancestor Taizu's Spring in the Qin Garden was written by Li Changsheng, especially when he wrote the last sentence. Even the most outstanding people look at the present. After writing it down, Li Changsheng's entire body exuded an awe-inspiring feeling. At that moment, everyone was in trance. It was as if standing on the podium was a vigorous general, pointing at the mountains and rivers and inspiring words. The teachers present were all discerning people. Naturally, they understood that words were also a reflection of a person's character. It was as if they could see the arrogant heart under this seemingly ordinary body. Showing off his ability, he would amaze the world with a single brilliant feat. President Wu smiled and said to the math teacher, "This child has a limitless future." With that, he turned and left with a smile. The others also dispersed. This was already the last class. Li Changsheng threw the remaining half of the chalk into the box. Then, in front of the art teacher, he went over to Yu Youwei's hand and walked out of the classroom. When he passed by the teacher, the female teacher was surprisingly not angry at all. Instead, she smiled and said, "Don't be late for class in the afternoon." Yu Youwei, who was so scared that her head almost shrank in her neck, heard the teacher's words and said, as if she had been granted amnesty, "Okay." Li Changsheng cast a grateful look at the teacher. When the two of them left, there was no doubt that Li Changsheng's back view was tall and handsome. The boys were filled with admiration and fantasized that one day they would have such a heroic side. The girls were all sighing, "Yu Youwei's boyfriend is so stylish." Before they walked out of the school building, Lu Duoduo called again and said that he was in a hurry. He had some things to tell Li Changsheng in person. Ludwood's school was not far from Yu Youwei's school. According to Lu Duoduo, Yu Youwei was a well-known figure in several high schools in Qingzhou. She was beautiful and good at her studies. The reason why Huang Bingzhong, Yang Xiaowei, and the others had touched Yu Youwei yesterday was because the bar manager had hinted to them that he would introduce a middle school girl to them when they first arrived. That was how the rest of the story came about. Sure enough, it was the manager's doing. Li Changsheng smiled coldly. Based on his personality, he would have abolished the manager yesterday. But after all, it was Wang Dongxing's business. It was not convenient for him to overstep his boundaries. "It seems that I have to talk to Wang Dongxing. It's a waste of food to keep this kind of person alive." Li Changsheng held Yu Youwei's hand and walked out of the school. Lu Duoduo also called a taxi and came over. Brotherly. Ludwood's eyes lit up when he saw Yu Youwei beside Li Changsheng. No wonder this brotherly fought yesterday. As expected, even heroes have a weakness for the charms of beautiful women. "Let's go out for lunch. Tell me the details of the situation," Li Changsheng said to Lu Duoduo. A Rolls-Royce Phantom was quietly parked on the side of the road, not far away. Chapter 68. Li Changsheng went straight to the Rolls-Royce. Lu Duoduo and Yu Youwei were surprised at the same time. At this time, the door opened and a middle-aged man came out with a smile. The man was wearing a suit with a big gold chain around his neck. He looked like a nouveau riche, but no one dared to look down on him. His momentum made people feel natural fear. "Sir, I've already booked a restaurant and prepared all your favorite dishes." It was Su Xiaolin who came out of the car. Li Changsheng nodded and greeted Lu Duoduo and Yu Youwei. Lu Duoduo was surprised. He suddenly found that his teacher seemed to have an extraordinary background. A Rolls-Royce Phantom cost at least 7 or 8 million. Especially this was the extended version. He must be worth more than 100 million to drive such a car. Yu Youwei, Lu Duoduo, and Li Changsheng sat in the back of the car, while Su Xiaolin sat in the front passenger seat. The driver, Yi Huan, couldn't help but look back at the young man behind him. "Boss, did you bring so many people here just to welcome him?" "Drive," Li Changsheng ordered lightly. Su Xiaolin nodded hurriedly and said to Yi Huan, "Drive steadily." Yi Huan nodded, but he was quite angry. Especially Li Changsheng's tone, which was obviously a bit of a command, made him very uncomfortable. He felt it was unfair for his boss. "This is my friend, Yu Youwei Lu Duoduo." Li Changsheng smiled and introduced to Su Xiaolin. "Hello." Su Xiaolin took the initiative to turn around and shake hands with Lu Duoduo. Su Xiaolin's aura was very strong. Lu Duoduo didn't dare to neglect and was a little flattered. Then Su Xiaolin looked at Yu Youwei and said with a smile, "Hello, sister-in-law." Yu Youwei, who was a little timid, suddenly blushed to her ears. Li Changsheng smiled and put his arm around Yu Youwei's shoulder. Yu Youwei's body trembled, but she did not say anything as she allowed Li Changsheng to hug her. Yi Huan, who was driving, was not calm. Not to mention her boss's identity. She was so young. How could her boss call her sister-in-law? Was he kidding? At this moment, Su Xiaolin had already turned his gaze to Lu Duoduo. "Young man, you don't look too old. You must be my sister-in-law's classmate, right? In the future, when my husband is not around, you must take good care of my sister-in-law and don't let anyone bully her." Lu Duo hurriedly waved his hand. No, I'm not in the same school as Yue, but I can take care of her. I still have some influence in a few high schools. Lu Duo might look like a coward now, but deep down, he was a devil incarnate. Indeed, it could be said that he was notorious in several high schools. Su Xiaolin seemed to be amused by Lu Duo's pride. He laughed and said, "So, you're still the school's top dog." "I'm not the top dog, but because of my father's reputation, everyone gives me some face." After all, Lu Duo was not fully mature and was a little childish. He felt that Su Xiaolin's aura was too strong, so he could not help but mention his father, Lu Xiong. Lu Xiong was not only influential in Qingzhou, but also in several nearby provinces and cities. "Who's your father?" Su Xiaolin laughed and said. He just felt amused by Lu Duo's confidence. "My father is Lu Xiong." "Oh, so you're Lu Xiong's son." Su Xiaolin smiled and said nothing. Lu Duo had some doubts in his eyes. If Qin Haodong did not know his father, it would be fine. But since he knew his father's name, he still looked so indifferent. Could it be that his background was stronger than his father's? Although Lu Duo was a little childish, he was not stupid. He could see something from Su Xiaolin's actions. He fell into silence for a moment, and the way he looked at Li Changsheng was slightly different. Although he did not know what level Su Xiaolin was at, Li Changsheng could get such a person to pick him up personally, which was enough to show his power. "It seems that my teacher is really not ordinary." Because it was noon and it was time to get off work, there was a little traffic jam on the road. In addition, the driver did not dare to drive too fast, so they only arrived at the hotel half an hour later. Lu Duo was naturally not unfamiliar with this restaurant. It was the largest restaurant in Qingzhou, Tong Guangdao Restaurant. When they walked into the restaurant, Lu Duo was surprised that the entire restaurant was empty. There was only a private room on the second floor, where Su Xiaolin had booked a table. Although Tong Guangdao Restaurant was expensive, its business was very good. There were many rich people who came to patronize. Even in the most depressed times, it was impossible for there to be no guests at a table. So, the only possibility was to book the entire restaurant. What a big deal! To book the entire Tong Guangdao Restaurant, it required not only money, but also enough face. Lu Duo was thinking if his father came to book the entire restaurant, would the behind-the-scenes boss of Tong Guangdao Restaurant agree? After thinking about it, he was afraid that it would be impossible. Tong Guangdao Restaurant was backed by the whole Tong Guangdao Commercial Catering Group. The daily turnover of orders was at least hundreds of thousands of yuan, and the highest turnover was 1 million yuan. If the restaurant was booked by others, it was equal to rejecting many guests. The loss was definitely not something that could be made up with one day's turnover. When they entered the private room, the secretary, Dong Jia, had arranged everything. Li Changsheng sat on the main seat, and Su Xiaolin accompanied him. Dong Jia was responsible for entertaining Yue and Lu Duo. As for the driver, Yi Huan, she was not qualified to sit at the table at all. In fact, Dong Jia was not qualified, but her advantage was that she was a woman and was better at taking care of people. Dong Jiaming was a little surprised that Li Changsheng sat on the main seat, but she was very sensible and did not ask more. This was where she was more sensible than the driver, Yi Huan. She knew what to ask and what not to ask. She was also a rich second generation that was stuffed to Su Xiaolin's side by her family. In many cases, she was far more favored than Yi Huan. The meal was plain and uneventful. Su Xiaolin took the initiative to pick up food for Lu Duo and Yue several times. His intimate appearance surprised Dong Jia. Finally, the meal was coming to an end. Lu Duo could not help but tell Li Changsheng the news he got. Huang Bingzhong's father sent people to block the gate of Qingzhou University to avenge his son. As for Yang Xiaowei's father, Yang Qinggang, he even said that he would break one of Brother Li's legs. After that, he looked at Li Changsheng eagerly. Li Changsheng took out a cigarette. Su Xiaolin hurriedly bowed and lit it. This move made Dong Jia's hand tremble, and the chopsticks almost fell to the ground. After taking a puff of the cigarette, Li Changsheng said, "Su Xiaolin, do you know Huang Bo, the boss of Shengshe Real Estate?" He is the one that Lu Duoduo said sent people to block me at the gate of the university. We have met several times, but we are not familiar with each other. What? Do you want to deal with him? I will make him disappear from the world tomorrow. His voice was calm, but there was a hint of coldness. Lu Duoduo could not help but shudder. Even his father had to be polite to Huang Bo, the boss of Shengshe Real Estate. However, Su Xiaolin seemed to be able to crush him to death at any time. No wonder he did not have any expression when he heard his father's name. Just as Lu Duoduo was bewildered, Li Chongsheng shook his head. That is not necessary. Just pass a message for me. Tell his son to restrain himself. Okay. Su Xiaolin nodded. Also, Yang Chengang, that guy threatened to cripple me. This is a bit bad. Don't worry, sir, I understand. Okay. Ask your driver to send you Yu Wei and Lu Duoduo to the university. They should be in class. Sit with me. Yes. Su Xiaolin gave a look. Dong Jia immediately took Yu Wei and Lu Duoduo out. When only the two of them were left in the room, Su Xiaolin hurriedly stood up. Sir, do you want me to send someone to protect you, Yu Wei 24/7? No wonder Su Xiaolin was so serious. In his memory, Li Chongsheng had never had a girlfriend. Moreover, Li Chongsheng was equivalent to his master. Naturally, Yu Wei was his mistress. Of course, he could not let her get hurt. There's no need. If you do this, I'm afraid it will affect Yu Wei's normal life. All right, let's not talk about this. Help me tell Chu Yaotian that Qin Hao and his son have been a little restless recently. Tell him to be careful. If Chu Yaotian can't handle it himself, help him. Okay. Su Xiaolin nodded. Okay, there is nothing else. After Li Chongsheng left the Tongguang Hotel, he took a taxi back to Qingzhou University. Su Xiaolin stood at the door until the taxi disappeared at the end of his sight. Then, he returned. Then, he took out his phone and began to make a call. Chapter 69. Yi Huan and Dong Jia were responsible for sending Yu Wei and Lu Duoduo back to school. Along the way, Dong Jia took the initiative to talk with Yu Wei, trying to figure out Li Chongsheng's identity by beating around the bush. This young man, who could make the big boss bow to him, aroused her great curiosity. However, Yu Wei didn't know much about Li Chongsheng. She only knew that Li Chongsheng was good at fighting and had good skills. Of course, Dong Jia didn't think that good skills could make the big boss treat him that way. But after asking for a long time, Yu Wei couldn't tell him the reason. After sending Yu Wei and Lu Duoduo back to school, the car stopped on the side of the road. Yi Huan finally couldn't help but ask, "Who is this young man?" Dong Jia shook his head. "I don't know. I've been working for the big boss for so many years, but I've never heard anything about this young man. The big boss rose in the wilderness and valued friendship. Maybe he is the child of his old friend, but he can't be the illegitimate son of the big boss." Huh. Yi Huan smiled. Even if he is the child of the big boss's old friend, the big boss shouldn't be so respectful. Maybe he has a good father. Yi Huan's words carried a hint of jealousy. Dong Jia couldn't help but sneer. So what? You are the same. You could be the big boss's chauffeur because you have a good father. Don't think that being a chauffeur is unfair to you. In the whole North, there are countless people who want to be the big boss's chauffeur. Although your father is rich, compared with the big boss, he is like an ant. If you have a father who can make the big boss respect you, maybe you are qualified to sit at the table and talk cheerfully today. Unfortunately, you can't. Dong Jia didn't have a good impression of the young Yi Huan. This rich second generation, who was also sent to work for Su Xiaolin, was regarded as a golden boy and a jade girl. But she knew that this guy was mean in his bones. Besides, she had been working for Su Xiaolin for so many years and had been conquered by Su Xiaolin's charm. This guy wanted to hit on her, but she didn't like him. Choked by Dong Jia's words, Yi Huan didn't know what to say, so she had to snort. "Let's go. Don't keep the big boss waiting," Dong Jia said. He rolled down the window and breathed in the fresh air outside. Although she felt that Yi Huan was a little ignorant of the current situation, she felt a little indignant when she thought that the young man could make the big boss bow down to him. "I heard that there are two people in the world who are on equal footing with Big Boss. One is called Chi Yu, and the other is called Gumangong. Both of them are ambitious and ruthless people. Could it be that the person today is the son of one of them? However, whether it is the sickly tiger Chi Yu or Gumangong, they're both well-known figures. This young man is like a tiger father and a dog son. Li Changsheng didn't know that his image in Dong Jia's heart had been labeled as a tiger father and a dog son. At this moment, he had already returned to Qingzhou University. As soon as he entered the school gate, he saw a silver Audi pass by him. After taking a few steps forward, he saw the Audi parked in the parking lot. A tall woman wearing sunglasses got out of the car. She looked familiar. Li Changsheng, classmate Li. The woman took off her sunglasses. She was Wu Xiaowan, the daughter of Wu Ruang. Hello, Teacher Wu. Li Changsheng smiled at the other party. I heard that your ghost skills are quite good. Are you interested in playing a game with me? Wu Xiaowan smiled sweetly. It was undeniable that she was a very charming girl. I don't have time today. Li Changsheng smiled slightly and passed by her. Wu Xiaowan was stunned. She was now named the #1 goddess of Qingzhou University. Her classes were full every day. She heard her father's words and was full of curiosity about this student called Li Changsheng. That was why she took the initiative to invite him. However, she didn't expect to be rejected so straightforwardly. That's really interesting. Wu Xiaowan looked at the somewhat ordinary figure. The curiosity in her eyes grew stronger and stronger. In the past few days, Li Changsheng's life began to become rich. In addition to the necessary classes every day, he would occasionally go to 6 High to look for Yu Yue to go shopping. The rest of the time, he would teach Lu Duo. He had integrated into the role of an ordinary student. On this day, Li Changsheng got up in the morning and went to the playground to run. When he returned to the dormitory, he was blocked by a group of people. The leader turned out to be a woman. She was about 37 or 38 years old. She was very enchanting and charming. Li Changsheng felt a little strange because he was sure that he had never seen this woman before. Your name is Li Changsheng, right? I want to talk to you. Behind the other party stood 4 strong men. They looked like bodyguards. Each of them was muscular. It was obvious that they had been trained. However, in Li Changsheng's eyes, these people hadn't even practiced obvious strength. His student, Wang Dongsheng, could beat a dozen of them. I don't know you. What is there to talk about? Li Changsheng shook his head and was about to leave. Immediately, 2 strong men stood up and blocked Li Changsheng's way. Young man, I think you'd better be sensible. My bodyguards don't have a good temper. Are you threatening me? Li Changsheng's mouth showed a bit of playfulness. You can think of it that way. The woman smiled faintly. Let me introduce myself. I'm Bai Wolin. I'm Bai Qinshue's aunt. Yesterday, Qinshue told me that she found a boyfriend. I'm here today to persuade you to leave her. Break up an affectionate couple. Li Changsheng was stunned. He remembered Bai Qinshuo saying that her family forced her to marry the eldest son of the Cheng family. He didn't expect that just after he confirmed his relationship with Bai Qinshuo, there would be people rushing to break them up. Okay. Li Changsheng nodded. Give me 3 million. What do you mean? Bai Ruolin was a little stunned. She thought of many methods and knew that the other party wouldn't leave easily. She didn't expect Li Changsheng to be so straightforward and reach out to her for money. Give me a breakup fee, Li Changsheng said, as if it was a matter of course. It's always like this on TV. Don't tell me you don't want to pay me a single cent to leave Bai Qinshuo. Humph. So you got close to Qinshuo for money. Bai Ruolin sneered and then took out a recording pen. I recorded everything you said just now. Originally, I wanted to use some methods to make you reveal your true colors, but I didn't expect you to confess without being pressed. Now, I can give it to Qinshuo and let her completely see your true colors. Okay, Li Changsheng nodded. Do as you wish. But that niece of yours loves me deeply. Even if I send someone to play the recording for her, she won't leave me. Li Changsheng understood in his heart that he and Bai Qinshuo were using each other. The two knew that it was fake. Bai Qinshuo wanted to use him as a shield against her family. Not to mention a recording, even if Bai Ruolin took a picture of Li Changsheng and Yu Yue being intimate, Bai Qinshuo wouldn't mind. But Bai Ruolin didn't know this. When she heard Li Changsheng's words, She was completely dumbfounded. You? Chinchua loves you deeply? Who do you think you are? She originally thought that Bai Chinchua had found a handsome boyfriend. But when she saw Li Changsheng, Bai Ruolin was disappointed. She felt that her niece's taste was too bad. Now that she heard Li Changsheng's words, she wanted to hold her belly and laugh. Okay, since you're not willing to pay, then don't bother me. Li Changsheng waved his hand and was about to leave. At this time, a figure hurriedly ran over from afar. Auntie, I knew you'd secretly come to find my boyfriend. The person who came was none other than Bai Chinchua. She knew her auntie's methods too well. She was afraid that Li Changsheng wouldn't be able to withstand her auntie's methods and spill the beans. Then all her previous plans would be ruined. Chapter 70. Qin Shui, you came at the right time. Just now, this brat actually asked me for money. He said that as long as I give him money, he will leave you. I recorded it. How can such a person be true to you? Listen to me. Although young Master Chung is a bit of a playboy, he really likes you. Perhaps if you marry him, he will turn over a new leaf. Perhaps? Bai Qian Shui sneered and shook her head. Aunt, I thought you loved me the most since I was young. I didn't expect you to be the same as them in front of the family's interests. Hearing Bai Qian Shui's words, Bai Ruolin's face showed a trace of pain. However, she quickly shook her head. Qian Shui, you can't be willful about your marriage with young Master Chung. That is the decision of our Bai family's head. You also know that we are only a branch of the Bai family. Without the main branch's protection, what kind of danger would we face? The future of everyone in our bloodline depends on you. In the end, you still have to sacrifice my happiness. Bai Qian Shui shook her head and went over to hold Li Changsheng's arm. Aunt, he and I are truly in love. I have already given my first time to him. You can't break us apart. What? Bai Ruolin felt as if she was struck by lightning. However, she quickly shook her head. Qin Shui, don't lie to Aunt. You are not such a casual person. Even if you lose your first time, so what? With technology so advanced, you could just make up for it. I have the recording in my pen. If you don't believe me, you can listen. As she spoke, she played back the recording. However, Bai Qian Shui directly shook her head. Even if he did it for money, I still like him. I won't leave him. You, Bai Ruolin trembled with anger. All right. Qin Shui, you're too stubborn. I can't persuade you. Today is your grandfather's birthday. Your parents died early, and your grandfather raised you single-handedly. You have to go and celebrate your grandfather's birthday. Tong Guang Guang Hotel, Jiangshan Picturesque Hall. If you have anything to say, say it to your grandfather. Bai Ruolin coldly snorted. Before leaving, she didn't forget to glare fiercely at Li Changsheng. The threat in her eyes was strong. Li Changsheng turned a blind eye to her glare. After Bai Ruolin and the others left, Bai Chinchua finally pulled her hand out of Li Changsheng's arm. We are just acting, but it is indeed dangerous for you to pretend to be my boyfriend. With that, Bai Chinchua took out a card from her pocket. Here's 300,000 yuan. It's my savings over the years. Take it as your reward. All right. Li Changsheng did not refuse and directly accepted it. Come with me to celebrate my grandfather's birthday tonight. Your family wants to sell you. Why are you still going to celebrate his birthday? Li Changsheng said indifferently. You don't understand. The Bai family is a very big family. Our roots are in the Chuzhou city, and we are only a branch of the Bai family. It was the family leader's decision to marry me to the Chung family. Our branch is under the protection of the main branch, and we can't go against the family leader's order. I see. Just give me a call when you're ready to leave. Li Changsheng quickly put away the card and was about to leave. Wait a minute. Your clothes are too ordinary. Let me take you to buy a new set of clothes. Okay. Li Changsheng nodded. He had nothing to do in the afternoon. Although he took 300,000 yuan from Bai Chinchua, it was obvious that it was dangerous to pretend to be her boyfriend. It was not a big deal to take another set of clothes. So he left the school and took Bai Chinchua's BMW Mini to the business district. Bai Chinchua went to buy a set of clothes for Li Changsheng and one for herself. People say that clothes make the man. Li Changsheng changed into a new set of clothes. Although he was not handsome, at least he looked a bit more handsome. Sitting on the sofa in the clothing store, Bai Qinxue was changing clothes. Li Changsheng was playing with the Rubik's Cube on a coffee table. In other people's eyes, it was a test of intelligence, but in his hands, he could solve it in less than a second. After living for thousands of years, his wisdom was almost demonic. Of course, he was thousands of times better than ordinary people. Creak. The door of the changing room opened, and Bai Qinxue walked out. Li Changsheng looked up and couldn't help but be surprised. Bai Qinxue was wearing a white dress with light makeup. Her chest was not majestic, but it was slightly propped up. Her waist was slender, and the perfect curves of her body were outlined. Especially her face with light makeup. It made her look even more innocent and charming. She is even prettier than the four ancient beauties. Li Changsheng thought. Bai Qinxue saw Li Changsheng's gaze and couldn't help but feel strange. But when she thought of her relationship with Li Changsheng, her face turned cold. A woman would doll herself up for the man she liked. Li Changsheng was at most a pile of cow dung. Let's go, Bai Qinxue said coldly. They went out and took a taxi. Half an hour later, they arrived at the Tongwang Hotel. Hug me, don't let anyone see, Bai Qinxue whispered to Li Changsheng as soon as they got out of the car. Okay. Li Changsheng nodded and hugged Bai Qinshue's slender waist. Bai Qinshue's delicate body trembled slightly. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, she looked very unnatural. However, Li Changsheng looked as if it was natural. When they walked into the hotel, many people looked at them curiously. Bai Qinxue used to come to this hotel for meals as the eldest daughter of the Bai family. Many waiters recognized her. When they saw her being hugged in someone's arms, they were all surprised. Bai Qinshue's face turned even redder when she saw this scene. She had always presented herself as a cold and aloof goddess. But since she had decided to put on an act, she naturally had to make it look real. Therefore, she allowed Li Changsheng to hug her. Where did this dog come from? Get your pig's paw off my sister. At this moment, a cold voice sounded. He saw a young man in sportswear standing not far away, glaring angrily at Li Changsheng. He is my cousin, Bai Mingtang. After seeing the young man, Bai Qinxue hurriedly introduced him. At the same time, she lowered her head guiltily. Cousin, I think it's better for you to stay out of my business. I don't care. I don't care how much trouble you're going to cause. I only found out from my aunt that you're going to reject the marriage. This is outrageous, Bai Mingtang said angrily. At the same time, he looked at Li Changsheng with disdain. Where did this bastard come from? Get your pig's paw off me. Bai Mingtang obviously knew that Li Changsheng was Bai Qinshue's boyfriend. He might be his brother-in-law in the future, but he definitely wouldn't accept it. His younger sister was the eldest daughter of the Bai clan. She was the daughter of the Bai clan. How could she marry a country bumpkin? What's more, if his sister didn't marry into the Chung family, his entire family would be implicated. He also just found out about this matter. Otherwise, he would have rushed to the villa long ago without his aunt, Bai Roland. Since he found out about this matter, he was filled with anger. So he waited at the door early in the morning. He wanted to break up the couple and teach this guy who dared to seduce his sister a lesson. As soon as he saw Li Changsheng and saw that the other party was hugging his sister, he couldn't help but feel angry. He heard that this guy was a pauper. How could a pauper give his sister a happy life? With Li Changsheng's intelligence, how could he not know what the other party was thinking? He was trying to show off his strength to him. He sneered, then lowered his head and whispered in Bai Qinshue's ear, Wife, let's go get the marriage certificate tomorrow. Otherwise, people will keep asking such stupid questions. What did you say? You want to get the marriage certificate? Bai Mingtang was furious. If this guy tricked his sister into getting the marriage certificate with him, then everything would be irreparable. You son of a bitch. Bai Mingtang took a big step forward and rushed towards Li Changsheng with his fist raised. This Bai Mingtang was a member of the national sports team. Usually, when he fought with street thugs, he could take on 3 to 5 of them. So his attack was quite powerful. Many people around couldn't help but exclaim when they saw this scene. This Bai Mingtang was 8 meters tall, which was a sharp contrast to Li Changsheng. If his punch landed, then Li Changsheng's face would burst open. Chapter 71. However, facing by Mingtong's fist, Li Chongqing's face remained indifferent. Although his cultivation had not recovered, his physical body was still comparable to a divine weapon. Even if a bullet hit his body, it would not be able to blow up a single hair on his body. If this fist really landed on the ground, the powerful rebound force would cripple by Mingtong's entire arm. This guy can't be scared silly, right? How pitiful. They weren't even on the same level. The surrounding people shook their heads, revealing a pitiful look. Stop! Stop! Two voices sounded almost at the same time. The one who said stop was by Qinxue. She knew how strong her cousin was. How could Li Chongqing be his opponent? He would be beaten to a pulp. Although Li Chongqing took her money, he was still helping her. The other person who shouted stop was an old man who walked out. The old man was almost 70 years old. Accompanied by a group of people, he was glaring at Bai Mingtang. This was Bai Qinshue's grandfather, Bai Guangyuan. Bai Guangyuan knew that his granddaughter was going to reject the marriage with the Chung family's young master for a poor brat. Although he was very angry, he was a cultured person. Moreover, he was very clear about his grandson's strength. If he allowed Bai Mingtang to do whatever he wanted, he would lose his life. Looking at the brat's thin and weak body, he estimated that Bai Mingtang could knock him out with one punch. After 3 or 5 punches, he would be completely crippled. Bai Mingtang was a fearless person, but he was afraid of his grandfather, Bai Guangyuan. Therefore, when he heard his grandfather's familiar voice, his fist that was about to reach Li Chongqing stopped abruptly. Bai Mingtang, fists can't solve the problem. Bai Guangyuan sighed. He also didn't want his granddaughter's marriage with the Chung family's young master to be ruined. But what's the point of beating this brat? The most important thing was to make Bai Qinshuo change her mind. Grandfather! Bai Mingtang angrily retracted his fist. Looking at Li Chongqing, he couldn't wait to swallow him alive. Little Aunt Bai Roland's eyes showed some regret. She really wanted to see this country bumpkin get beaten up by Mingtang. Grandpa! When Bai Qinshuo saw the old man, her eyes turned red, and she threw herself into Bai Guangyuan's arms. Her grandfather had always doted on her the most. She had been under a lot of pressure these days and had been forcing herself to smile. At this moment, when she saw her family, she couldn't help but cry. Silly child. Bai Guangyuan patted Bai Qinshuo's back, not knowing what to say. He looked at Li Chongqing and sighed. This guy is indeed much stronger than that playboy from the Chung family. Unfortunately, he doesn't have the power of the Chung family's eldest son. Because of old Master Bai's appearance, the Bai family's relatives, who originally wanted to teach Li Chongqing a lesson, temporarily suppressed the restless thoughts in their hearts. Everyone, please take your seats. Today was old Master Bai's birthday, and he was the most senior person, so he naturally sat at the main seat. The rest of Bai Qinshue's uncles took their seats. Even Bai Qinshuo was pulled aside by her aunt Bai Ruolin to sit beside her. After a few minutes, everyone had a seat, and only Li Chongqing was left. At this time, Bai Mingtang seemed to have noticed Li Chongqing. He spread his hands and said, "I'm really sorry. Today is our family's gathering. We didn't prepare a chair for an outsider like you. How about I ask the waiter for a big bowl, and you can squat at the door and eat?" After he finished speaking, all the relatives present revealed a mocking expression. This was clearly discussed in advance. Regarding Li Chongqing, this guy who suddenly appeared and caused Bai Qinshuo to reject the engagement with the eldest son of the Chung family, her relatives naturally didn't have a good impression of Li Chongqing. However, because of Bai Qinshuo's protection, they couldn't directly do anything to Li Chongqing. So, they did this to let Li Chongqing understand that they didn't welcome him. There was clearly a lot of empty space, and they just needed to bring in another chair. However, none of them would help Li Chongqing out of his predicament. This was a scene they were happy to see. Bai Mingtang had a smirk on his face, as if saying, "I'm humiliating you. Bite me." Bai Qinshuo's face turned cold when she saw Li Chongqing being humiliated by her relatives. She suddenly stood up from the chair. "Li Chongqing is my man. If you don't welcome him, you don't welcome me. Grandpa, today is your birthday. Happy birthday to you." After that, She turned around and grabbed Li Changxing's hand to walk out. Wait. Seeing this scene, everyone became anxious. The old man laughed bitterly. He thought to himself that his granddaughter was really determined. Xiao Shui, don't be angry. It's your cousin's negligence. Then, he glared at Bai Mingtang. Hurry up and bring in another chair. Okay. Bai Mingtang stood up reluctantly and went outside to bring in another chair. Only then did Bai Qianxue sit down with Li Changsheng. This time, the atmosphere in the room was a little awkward. Grandpa, this is Li Changsheng, my man. Bai Qianxue took the initiative to break the silence. In fact, everyone present was sizing up this young man who could make Bai Qianxue reject the marriage. However, they noticed that Bai Qianxue called Li Changsheng man instead of boyfriend. Many people frowned slightly. Grandpa Cheng nodded slightly at Li Changsheng. Although he didn't show any strong hostility towards Li Changsheng, he obviously couldn't approve of a poor boy who ruined the marriage between the Bai and Cheng families. Li Changsheng could clearly feel Bai Qianxue's clenched fists, which showed how nervous she was at the moment. She had already made up her mind to reject the marriage, but deep down, she wanted to be tolerant and supported by her grandfather. Hello, Grandpa. Hello, eldest uncle, second uncle, and auntie. When Li Changsheng said that, everyone's expression was a little strange. This guy actually called Grandpa Cheng Grandpa. This should have been a normal greeting, but at this moment, it was obviously a little provocative. This guy was too arrogant. Why didn't he take a piss and look at himself in the mirror? Thank you for coming to this old man's birthday party. Bai Guangyuan wasn't angry. Instead, he nodded at Li Changsheng and said with a smile. However, Bai Guangyuan could greet him with a smile, but it didn't mean that others could be so shrewd. His cousin, Bai Mingtang, who disliked Li Changsheng from the moment he came in, was the first to speak with a sneer. Who do you think you are? How dare you call my grandpa Grandpa? Bai Mingtang didn't know the consequences of provoking Li Changsheng. In fact, he couldn't wait for Li Changsheng to get angry in front of everyone. This would give him a legitimate opportunity to teach Li Changsheng a lesson. Moreover, everyone present was a relative of the Bai family. He didn't believe that this poor country bumpkin would dare to be dissatisfied. Mingtang, don't talk like that. Although he's not worthy of your sister, you should leave him some face. Beside him was his mother, Bai Qianxue's second aunt. She scolded him indifferently, but there was a hint of mockery in her words. Bai Guangyan didn't seem to notice the strange atmosphere. He picked up a peanut from the table and put it in his mouth. Sitting beside him was Bai Qianxue's uncle, Bai Jinbin. He looked like he was watching a good show. He kept looking at Li Changsheng. He wanted to see how this brat, who made his niece reject the marriage, would face Bai Mingtang's provocation. Bai Jinbin was the most promising person in the Bai family. His power wasn't in Qingzhou, but in the neighboring Chuzhou city. He was the only person in the second generation of the Bai family who had the right to speak in the entire Bai family despite being from a branch family. Bai Qianxue's face was pale. She suddenly grabbed Li Changsheng's hand, afraid that Li Changsheng wouldn't be able to stand the humiliation and leave. Everyone misunderstood that she broke off with her family because she fell in love with Li Changsheng. Only Bai Qianxue knew that she was trying to save herself from the fire. However, her worries were unnecessary. She turned around and saw Li Changsheng's warm gaze. She lowered her head and said softly, "I'm sorry." Those 3 words contained too much sadness and heartache. I thought that Qianxue's grandfather would prioritize his granddaughter's happiness, but I'm very disappointed. Li Changsheng didn't do anything to Bai Mingtang out of anger. With his strength, it wouldn't be a big deal even if he made everyone in the Bai family disappear from the earth. However, he disdained to do so. He slowly stood up and quietly looked at Bai Mingtang, who was smiling coldly and complacently. He wasn't angry, nor was he smiling. However, his calmness instantly made the atmosphere in the room become oppressive and suffocating. It was like the calm before the storm. Chapter 72. Bastard, what are you looking at? Are you not convinced? Bai Mingtang shouted loudly as he felt goosebumps from Li Changsheng's stare. The others also breathed a sigh of relief. They were secretly puzzled. How could they be frightened by this poor kid's aura? It was really embarrassing. Only the old man Bai and Bai Chinchua's uncle, Bai Jinbin, had a thoughtful look in their eyes. Kid, didn't you hear me talking to you? Bai Mingtang left his seat and strode in front of Li Changsheng. He looked down at Li Changsheng with a face full of ridicule. A clown dared to provoke him? Li Changsheng raised his eyebrows. Suddenly, a cold aura, like ice that had not melted for 10,000 years, enveloped the entire room in an instant. Everyone in the room felt a chill run down their spines. Is the air conditioner too high? Aunt Bai Woolen muttered. I heard it, so I really want to beat you up. Li Changsheng said lightly. Everyone was a little confused. They didn't understand the meaning of Li Changsheng's words. At this time, Li Changsheng swung his palm at Bai Mingtang's arrogant and hateful face. Pa! A crisp sound rang. It was directly thrown down. Bai Mingtang's 1.8 tall figure actually spun twice under Li Changsheng's palm and fell to the ground. At this moment, the whole room was silent. Everyone stared with their eyes wide open, unable to believe what they were seeing. Li Changsheng actually dared to hit Bai Mingtang in front of the old man Bai, in front of all the relatives of the Bai family. It was simply too arrogant, too decisive, too unbelievable. Did he eat a leopard's guts? Everyone felt that their minds became sluggish. The stimulated brain circuits of the people were a little short of oxygen. They all looked at each other. The first to react was Bai Mingtang's mother. That sharp-tongued woman screamed and directly pounced on her son. Bai Mingtang's second uncle glared at Li Changsheng. He grabbed a wine bottle on the table and was about to fight with Li Changsheng. The scene instantly became a mess. A birthday banquet was about to turn into a battlefield. All of you stop. A loud shout. Bai Guangyuan slammed the table and stood up. He stretched out his trembling hand and pointed at the crowd. Unable to catch his breath, he raised his head and fell back into the chair with a plop. Dad, what's wrong? First Uncle Bai Jinbin was the first to go over to support old Master Bai's body. Little Aunt Bai Ruo Lin also rushed over. What should we do? The room was in a complete mess. The old man had a heart attack. Hurry up, bring me the pills. Bai Jinbin looked at his younger sister Bai Ruo Lin. In the past, every time they went out to take care of the old man, it was Bai Ruo Lin who was in charge of taking care of him. When Bai Ruo Lin saw her brother reach out his hand, she was dumbfounded. Dad hasn't had a relapse for a long time. I was careless and forgot to take the pill. What should I do? It's over, it's over. Bai Jinbin slapped his thigh anxiously. Without the pill, Dad wouldn't have been able to hold on for more than a few minutes. He wouldn't have made it to the hospital. The others were also anxious. Bai Chinchua was so anxious that she was about to cry. Grandpa had always been the person who loved her the most. If something happened to him, what would she do? Bai Chinchua, it's all your fault. If you didn't bring a wild man back to anger your grandpa, how could he have a relapse? Second Aunt's voice was full of resentment. Shut up, bitch. If you didn't teach your son well, old Master Bai wouldn't have been so angry. Li Changsheng said coldly. You dare to call me a bitch? Second Aunt was so angry that her whole body trembled. She bared her fangs and brandished her claws, wanting to pounce on Li Changsheng. In this regard, Li Changsheng didn't hesitate to slap her. Pa, this slap directly hit Second Aunt's cheek and made it bleed. Li Changsheng didn't care at all. He walked directly in front of old Master Bai and said to first Uncle Bai Jinbin, let me try. Bai Jinbin raised his head. His face was a little dazed. The others also didn't have time to denounce him. They all looked at him in disbelief. It's a matter of life and death. You can't joke about it. Bai Chinchua reminded him. Don't worry. Li Changsheng turned around and smiled at Bai Chinchua. And the people who were already in a panic now looked at Li Changsheng in disbelief. How is it possible? How could he possibly cure the old man's illness without any medical equipment? Does he have medical equipment with him? But he is obviously a bumpkin. How can he have real medical skills? We can't let him treat Grandpa. He is a big liar. Bai Mingtang covered half of his swollen face and said loudly. At this moment, he was looking at Li Changsheng with a face full of anger. It's this guy who made Grandpa sick. Now he wants to pretend to be a good person. He is obviously pretending. That's right. We can't let him treat old Master Bai. We can't trust him. Send old Master Bai to the hospital quickly. Maybe he still has a chance to live. If we delay, old Master Bai will really die. Second aunt also shouted in a shrill voice. Say it. You made old Master Bai have a heart attack on purpose. Now you want to delay the time. You're up to no good. What kind of grudge do you have with the Bai family? Second aunt questioned. Li Changxing was not the only one who made old Master Bai have a heart attack. Her son was also the one who made old Master Bai have a heart attack. Now, she wanted to pour all the dirty water on Li Changxing. Otherwise, if old Master Bai died because of this, Uncle Bai Jinbin wouldn't let her son off. Moreover, Li Changxing dared to hit her and her son. She must kill him. Originally, she couldn't think of a way to exonerate her son. She didn't expect that Li Changxing would want to treat old Master Bai. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Do you know how difficult it is to treat a heart attack? How dare you say that you want to try? There is no way you can cure it. That's right. This guy's up to no good. We can't let him try. Bai Qianque's second uncle also said. Li Changxing couldn't help but frown. How could these people know what he was capable of? If it weren't for the fact that this old man was reasonable, Bai Guangyuan's life and death would have nothing to do with him. Seeing that Bai Jinbin was hesitating, Li Changxing couldn't help but become angry. This group of idiots, if you hesitate for a while more, this old man will really die. At that time, even if I want to save him with my own ability, it will take a lot of effort. Get out of my way. Li Changxing didn't say anything. He grabbed Bai Jinbin's collar and pulled him to the side. Then, he took his place and punched Bai Guangyuan's chest. Bang! The sound of the punch landing was deep. It was obvious that he used a lot of strength. What is he doing? Does he think his fist is an electric shock machine? How can he be cured by putting on an act? The room was noisy. However, Uncle Bai Jinbin's face showed some anticipation. This was because he saw old Master Bai's eyebrows move slightly. You bastard! How dare you hit my grandfather with your fist? Bai Mingtang raised his fist and rushed forward. However, before he could get close to Li Changxing, he heard a crisp sound. Slap! Bai Jinbin waved his hand and slapped Bai Mingtang's face. Not only Bai Mingtang, but everyone present was dumbfounded. What's going on? Why did Bai Jinbin hit Bai Mingtang? Uncle, why did you hit me? Bai Mingtang covered his swollen cheek and was dumbfounded. Because Li Changxing really knows medical skills. He is a miracle doctor. Hearing that, everyone was shocked. This was because it wasn't Bai Jinbin who spoke. It was old Master Bai, who was about to die. Old Master Bai was really cured. After a short silence, the entire room was in an uproar. Chapter 73. The old man was really cured. Oh my God, isn't he just a student? How can he cure diseases? It seems that this poor boy has some skills. All kinds of discussions rang out. Everyone was shocked to the extreme. How do you feel? Bai Ruolin was also surprised. Bai Qianque was even more excited. The old man took a deep breath. I'm completely fine. Changxing, save me. Changxing, thank you. In the beginning, although old Master Bai's attitude towards Li Changxing was polite, there was a kind of indifference in that politeness that kept people 1,000 miles away. But now, the way he looked at Li Changxing was completely different. Changxing, I didn't expect you to be able to cure diseases at such a young age. You're much better than that playboy from the Cheng family. You're worthy of Xiao Shui. The old man's words expressed his attitude. Bai Qianque was a bit complicated. She had suffered a lot these days. Finally, someone could understand and accept Li Changxing. But she couldn't be happy because Li Changxing wasn't her real boyfriend. She was just acting. Bai Mingtang, you bastard, come here. The old man was kind to Li Changxing, but when he turned to look at his grandson, his face was immediately covered with dark clouds. You unfilial grandson, you almost angered me to death. It was Changxing who saved my life. Now I order you to kneel down and apologize to Changxing. Now, immediately, kneel. The old man's words were sonorous and powerful, full of majesty and deafening. Bai Mingtang's face showed panic. It was humiliating for him to kneel down to this country bumpkin. But could he disobey his grandfather's words? He couldn't. In the Bai family, the old man was the sky, the god, and the supreme emperor. No one dared to disobey him. So he knelt down on the spot. He lowered his head and said in an inaudible voice, "I'm sorry." His whole heart was shrouded in anger, shame, dissatisfaction, and regret. How could this Li Chongsheng cure diseases? Wasn't he a student? Why did she humiliate him on the spot? She was the one who was humiliated the most right now. If she had known earlier, she would never have provoked him on such an occasion. She had been slapped twice for nothing and was now in a difficult situation. Moreover, once this matter came out, it was very likely that his grandfather, who didn't like him, would leave the Bai family's assets to his aunt or uncle's son. Wouldn't his dream of becoming the head of the Bai family be ruined? It was all ruined. For a moment, his heart was filled with regret and fear. Longevity. At this moment, Bai Guangyuan had completely regarded Li Chongsheng as his grandson-in-law. "Chongsheng, sit down quickly. Let's have a good family gathering today." A family. Noticing these three words, everyone's gaze changed. This was especially true for second aunt, whose eyes were filled with hatred. Bai Jinbin, on the other hand, smiled thoughtfully. He raised his glass and said, "Chongsheng, you saved my father's life. Let me give you a toast." After that, Li Chongsheng returned to his seat, raised his glass, and drank it in one gulp. Those who were kind would be kind. Those who were evil would be evil. Li Chongsheng was such a person. Therefore, with Bai Jinbin taking the lead, everyone gave a toast to Li Chongsheng. As for Bai Mingtang, who was kneeling there, no one cared about him. He didn't dare to get up. Without Bai Guangyuan's permission, he could only kneel like this until the end of the banquet. The room was filled with toasts, and there really was a family atmosphere. No matter what the other relatives thought, since Bai Guangyuan had shown his approval of Li Chongsheng, they naturally had to pretend to be warm towards Li Chongsheng. The one who really changed her opinion of Li Chongsheng was Bai Qinshue's aunt, Bai Ruolin. At the very least, her gaze towards Li Chongsheng was no longer cold. The ones who still hated Li Chongsheng were second uncle's family. After all, their son, Bai Mingtang, was still kneeling there. Bai Jinbin, on the other hand, didn't have any expression. The other uncles, aunts, and other relatives were all fence-sitters. When they gave a toast, they were abnormally warm. However, it was all pretense. So what if Li Chongsheng had medical skills? They valued power, so they still looked down on Li Chongsheng. Moreover, if Li Chongsheng married Bai Qinshuo, how would they explain it to the main bloodline? At this time, the door of the private room was suddenly opened. 6 people walked in with wine glasses, and the leader of the group was an old man. After the old man came in, he laughed loudly. "So, it's brother by holding a banquet here. I was eating in a room next door when I saw a few of your Bai family's juniors, so I came to take a look." "Oh, isn't this Bai Mingtang? Why are you kneeling here? Your grandfather isn't dead yet, and you're already prepared to kowtow?" Although the old man was full of smiles, his voice was strange. It was obvious that he didn't come with good intentions. Lord Bai's face darkened. Bai Qinshue's second uncle gave his son, Bai Mingtang, a look. Only then did Bai Mingtang dare to stand up. Although the old man's words were unpleasant, Bai Guangyuan wasn't angry. Instead, he said lightly, "It's just a family gathering. I didn't expect Mr. Wang to be here as well. What a coincidence." Mr. Wang didn't say anything. Instead, he looked at Li Chongsheng and said with a smile, "You must be the hero who stole my nephew's woman. Let me give you a friendly reminder. Try not to go out at noon in Qingzhou City. Sooner or later, you will be killed." Ha! 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 The few people who came in let out a burst of laughter. The Bai family members' faces darkened. The old man was the uncle of Bai Qinshue's fiancée. News of Bai Qinshue's rejection of the marriage proposal had spread. The Chung family was furious. The main branch had also announced that if Bai Qinshuo disobeyed the family lord's order and refused to marry the young master of the Chung family, then Bai Guangyuan's family would lose the protection of the main branch. Otherwise, he wouldn't have dared to act so presumptuously. Without the protection of the main branch, Bai Jinbin's power would be greatly reduced. Furthermore, Qingzhou City wasn't Bai Jinbin's territory. Of course, Bai Jinbin wasn't afraid of Mr. Wang. However, his father and his wife all lived in Qingzhou City. It was easy to dodge a spear in the open, but difficult to dodge a stab in the dark. A young man beside Director Wang swirled the glass of red wine in his hand with a frivolous look, especially when his gaze swept over by Qinshua's body and swept back and forth between her breasts. Everyone noticed it. However, when they thought of the young man's identity, they had no choice but to swallow their anger. Bai Qinshua's face turned cold as she glared at the young man. The young man was even more smug. Mr. Wang, today is my father's party. I don't want to see blood. Bai Jinbin finally couldn't hold it in any longer and said coldly. He was the boss of the Quzhou city, so naturally he had some authority. Bai Jinbin, don't be mad. The young man beside Mr. Wang said with a frivolous tone. By the way, Bai Jinbin, when I came up, I saw a Lincoln MPV. The glass seemed to have been smashed by a stone falling from the sky. Bai Jinbin, I heard that you usually drive an MPV. Could it be yours? Why don't you go down and take a look? You. Just as Bai Jinbin was about to slam the table and stand up, old Master Bai tugged at his sleeve. Looking at the complacent young man and the sneering Director Wang, everyone present felt a surge of anger rising in their chests. They had gone too far. Chapter 74. Bai Roland's eyes widened in anger. Apparently, she was furious when she heard the news. Uncle Bai Jinbin's face was gloomy, but his years of experience prevented him from standing up. Aunt Bai quickly opened the window and looked down. Because the restaurant's soundproofing was good, no one heard the sound of the car window shattering when they were eating. They could see that all 4 windows of a Lincoln had been smashed. Everyone fell into silence. This kind of behavior of smashing a person's car's window and then coming up to report it happily was really too vile. Wasn't this clearly bullying people? Li Changxing looked at the proud young man. Just now, Bai Qinshuo had secretly told him that he was the cousin of her fiancé. His name was Yang Yinfeng, and he was a famous hedonistic son of the Qing province. Director Wang turned his head and looked at Yang Yinfeng with admiration in his eyes. He could feel the shock in the hearts of the Bai family. He thought that this was a slap to the Bai family's face. Especially Bai Jinbin, the boss of the Quzhou city. His eyes were about to spit fire. Everyone in the Bai family looked at old man Bai cautiously. They were afraid that the old man, who had just recovered, would be angered again. Director Wang and Yang Yinfeng, who had been showing off, were about to leave. Old man Bai, I won't disturb your family's dinner. Then, he turned around and walked out. Everyone in the Bai family was angry, but the other party's status was clear. Even Bai Jinbin had no choice but to swallow his anger. Old man Bai nodded slightly. He looked calm on the surface, but everyone could see that the veins on his hands were bulging under the table. Stop! Did I say you could leave? A faint voice came up. Everyone turned around and saw a man slowly stand up from his seat. It was Li Changsheng. After he finished speaking, Li Changsheng looked at Director Wang and the others with indifference. If Director Wang had humiliated the Bai family, it would have been fine, but Yang Yinfeng had disrespected him. He was asking for it. No one expected Li Changsheng to stand up at this time. The room suddenly fell into silence. It was not that the Bai family did not have a temper, but Director Wang and Yang Yinfeng were not people to be offended. Now that Li Changsheng had stood up, many people couldn't help but feel nervous. What is he doing? This was the question on everyone's mind. Is this guy trying to fight Yang Yinfeng head-on? Does he want to die? Even Bai Jinbin chose to bear with it. Why is he, a poor boy with no power and no influence, joining in the fun at this time? I don't think he knows how powerful Director Wang and Yang Yinfeng are. That's why he dares to stand out. But is this the time for him to play the hero? If you do that, you might end up harming the entire Bai family. I don't know if he'll harm the Bai family, but if he offends Yang Yinfeng, I'm afraid he won't be able to walk out of this restaurant today. The relatives of the Bai family discussed in low voices. At this time, Yang Yinfeng had already turned around. He looked Li Changsheng up and down, and the corners of his mouth turned cold. "Brat, did you tell me to stop just now?" Beside him, Director Wong and the others revealed a playful expression. At this time, Bai Chinchua's aunt, Bai Roland, hurriedly smiled apologetically. "Master Yang, you misunderstood. How could he dare to tell you to stop? He said that to us." Yang Yunfeng curled his lips. "Do you think I'm an idiot? Can't you tell who he's talking to?" As he spoke, Yang Yunfeng gently shook his head, and a trace of disdain flashed in his eyes. "Brat, you dare to steal my brother's fiancée. I originally wanted to teach you a lesson, but I think you'll be leaving this restaurant lying down today." After he finished speaking, he clenched his fists, and his face was cold. "It's over. This brat is finished." The relatives of the Bai family showed pity. Although Yang Yunfeng was a playboy, he had another identity. He was a boxer. In Qingzhou, many people were injured, disabled, and even killed by him. Today, he wanted to provoke the Bai family. However, the Bai family was smart and didn't confront him directly, so he punched cotton. Originally, this matter was over, but he didn't expect Li Changsheng to stand out. Wasn't he looking for death? "Who do you think you are? You want to teach me a lesson? I think it's you who will be leaving lying down." Li Changsheng's face was cold. "What did you say?" Yang Yunfeng was about to chuckle when he felt a huge force hit his lower abdomen, and then he flew backward. Bang! He hit the wall and fell heavily to the ground. "What happened? How did I fly out?" After landing, Yang Yunfeng was still confused. He wanted to get up from the ground, but there was a severe pain in his lower abdomen, as if it was going to tear his whole body apart. He couldn't get up at all. "Oh my God, how did this happen?" Everyone present held their breath and was dumbfounded. The whole hall became so quiet that a pin drop could be heard. "Changsheng, how did you do it?" Bai Roland's eyes widened in disbelief. She just noticed that Li Changsheng's finger flicked gently, and Yang Yunfeng flew out. At this moment, Li Changsheng just looked at Yang Yunfeng on the ground with a cold smile. When he looked at Director Wong and the others, Director Wong, who was fierce just now, was so scared that his body suddenly trembled. The others also lowered their heads and didn't dare to look directly at Li Changsheng's eyes. It was too strange. Was he a human or a ghost? They didn't see him move, but how did he fly out? Everyone's heart was full of coldness. "Changsheng, did you use Qigong?" Mr. Bai's clenched fist loosened. It was so satisfying. Just now, he was so angry that his face turned purple. Li Changsheng helped him to vent his anger. "Kind of." Li Changsheng nodded. The principle of releasing Qigong and releasing Qigong was the same. Uncle Bai Jinbin also looked at Li Changsheng with admiration. When Director Wong heard that it was Qigong, the fear in his heart faded a lot. He raised his head and stammered. "Do you think you're so great because you have practiced Qigong? If you offend the Yang family, you'll cry. How dare you threaten me?" Li Changsheng raised his eyebrows. Suddenly, a cold aura swept over the place like the autumn wind sweeping away the fallen leaves. "Kneel down and apologize to me." A cold shout sounded like rolling thunder. Director Wong felt a strong pressure directly fall on him. Then, with a plop, he couldn't help but kneel on the ground. Is Qigong so powerful? Director Wong felt a sharp pain in his knee and gasped. Seeing the situation develop to this point, Mr. Bai's eyes showed some worry. He said, "Changsheng, forget it. It's not good to make a big deal out of this." Bai Chinchua also nodded and said, "Yes, Changsheng. They're not ordinary people. We can't beat him." Li Changsheng originally wanted to directly cripple these people. However, when he saw the expressions of the people present, he sighed and withdrew his aura. At this time, Director Wong and the others felt the terrifying pressure disappear. They all collapsed on the ground. "Waiter, help Director Wong and the others back to the private room." Bai Jinbin shouted from outside. Immediately, a few waiters standing in the corridor came in and helped them out. Chapter 75. After Director Wong and his assistant were helped out, the private room fell into a long silence. Everyone looked at Li Changsheng with a complicated gaze. Sigh. After a long time, Old Master Bai let out a long sigh. "Changsheng, Although what you did just now was very satisfying, it might cause our Bai family to fall into eternal damnation. The relatives of the Bai family next to him also nodded with a depressed expression. What's going on? Li Changsheng furrowed his brows. Why would it cause the Bai family to fall into eternal damnation? You think you're in the limelight and a hero, but you don't know what kind of enemy you've provoked? Second uncle had long disliked Li Changsheng. At this moment, he slammed the table and stood up, shouting angrily, "Do you know who that director is? He's a collateral descendant of the Northwest Wang family. The Northwest Wang family is a first-class family with influence in the agricultural, industrial, and commercial sectors. If they use their power to deal with our Bai family, we won't be able to resist at all." Hearing second uncle's words, the people next to him nodded in agreement. At this moment, everyone's phones started ringing one after another. What? Our project in the new energy field has been intercepted? The stock price has dropped by 50%, and our funds have shrunk by 60 billion. What? The company has been seized? Suspected of not meeting environmental standards? Someone reported that there's a legal business in our place. Everyone who picked up the phone had an extremely ugly expression on their faces. Even the mobile phone in old Master Bai's pocket kept vibrating. It's over. I didn't expect the Wang family to act so quickly. It's only been 10 minutes, and all the companies of the Bai family in Qingzhou have been attacked to varying degrees. They're everywhere, and we're instantly besieged on all sides. Old Master Bai Guangyuan sighed, and a sense of powerlessness rose in his heart. This was the reason why everyone in the Bai family had swallowed their anger just now. It was because the Wang family was too powerful, and the Bai family, who had lost the protection of the main family, was as weak as an ant in front of the Wang family. It's over, it's over. Everyone in the Bai family present looked dejected. They felt like a building was about to collapse, and they couldn't live forever. Li Changsheng, oh Li Changsheng, because of your recklessness, my Bai family is facing bankruptcy and collapse. You're simply a jinx. Second aunt reproached her loudly. The phone rang again, but no one dared to pick it up, because every time he picked up, he would hear one bad news after another. Bai Qinshua looked at her grandfather. Second uncle, elders, I'm sorry. Qinshua has caused trouble for you. Bai Qinshua stood up and bowed to her relatives. At this moment, her heart was in a mess, and she was filled with guilt. Qinshua, it's not that I want to nag at you, but you can't let your emotions get the better of you. This is the result of you rejecting the engagement with the eldest son of the Chung family. Our Bai family might end up on the streets because of this. A man who had offered a toast to Li Changsheng spoke with a tone full of resentment. Isn't it just the Wang clan? Do you think he can cover the sky with one hand? Li Changsheng said indifferently. Isn't it just the Wang clan? Huh, how dare you say that? Bai Ruolin also snorted coldly. The little bit of affection she had for Li Changsheng disappeared completely. The Wang family is one of the most powerful families in the Northwest. Even the main branch of the Bai family in the Chuzhou city can't compare with the Wang family. To tell you the truth, the Wang family can do whatever they want. Hearing Bai Ruolin's words, Li Changsheng's face was still calm and collected. What if I can make the Wang clan fall from their position as the most powerful family in the Northwest? Wouldn't the Bai family's predicament be solved? Bai Ruolin's eyes were filled with sarcasm. Li Changsheng, can you be more realistic? Who do you think you are? Su Xiaolin, the king of the North? You think you can make the Wang clan fall from power? Are you kidding me? Li Changsheng didn't explain further. With his power, taking down the Wang clan was a piece of cake. However, he was still considering whether or not to help the Bai family. To be honest, the Bai family's life and death had nothing to do with him. You should be more down to earth. Playing to the gallery will only make people look down on you. Bai Ruolin saw Li Changsheng's pretentious expression and couldn't help but get angry. After this incident, the birthday party was no longer in the mood to continue. Soon, the party was over. After leaving the Tongguang restaurant, Bai Qinshue and Li Changsheng went back together. After sending Bai Qinshue back to Yanbei University, Bai Qinshue looked at Li Changsheng's back and suddenly shouted, Li Changsheng, You don't have to pretend to be my boyfriend. I'm too selfish. The Chung family won't let this go. I don't want to hurt you. Li Chongqing looked back at the crying woman and smiled. Okay, but I won't refund you the 300,000. I will help you solve the Wang clan's problem. Bai Qinxue was stunned. Then she shook her head and laughed. Of course, she didn't believe Li Chongqing's words. She just took it as an excuse for Li Chongqing not to refund her money. However, when she thought of Li Chongqing's actions and gentle eyes at the birthday party today, she surprisingly didn't have any bad feelings towards Li Chongqing. Even if he's a little greedy, he's much better than Su Ziheng's sanctimonious appearance. Bai Qinxue thought silently. In the next few days, Li Chongqing's life returned to normal. During this period, he called Su Xiaolin and asked him to help deal with the Northwest Wang clan. Su Xiaolin readily agreed. This morning, Li Chongqing went to the field for a run as usual. However, he was stopped by someone after just one lap. One was a burly man in a black suit with a fierce aura. At first glance, it was obvious that his hands were stained with blood. The other person was much more gentle. It was Bai Qinxue's uncle, Bai Jinbin. Xiao Zhou, wait over there. I have something to say to Chongsheng. Bai Jinbin walked to Li Chongqing's side and sat down on the steps of the field. Why are you looking for me so early in the morning? What's the matter? Li Chongqing asked in confusion. I came to find you because I want to give you some pointers. Bai Jinbin looked at Li Chongqing and raised his eyebrows slightly with a smile. What bright path? Li Chongqing asked with a faint smile. You saw what happened at the birthday party the other day. Our Bai clan is considered a medium-sized clan in Qingzhou. However, because you offended Director Wang, the Bai clan is surrounded by enemies. If one day you offend a bigger force, Qinxue will also be implicated. What do you mean? Li Chongqing furrowed his brows. My meaning is very simple. The current you is not worthy of Qinxue. I can give you a chance to be worthy of Qinxue, and that is to leave Qinxue's side now and become my subordinate. When you have the status and power I have today, naturally, no one will object to you being together with Qinxue. But you can't do anything about the Wang clan's revenge. Li Chongqing said lightly. You are wrong. I might not be able to change the Bai clan's current situation, but the Chuzhou city is always the Bai clan's escape route. Even if the Wang clan of Yinbei wants to harm me, they will have to pay a heavy price. With that said, Bai Jinbin exuded a domineering aura. This was the aura that a leader of the Chuzhou city should have. Kid, I didn't want to marry Qinxue to you, but I am very satisfied with your performance yesterday. I will give you a day to think about it. I hope you won't disappoint me. With that said, Bai Jinbin stood up and was about to leave. I don't need a day. I have already made up my mind. I will not be your subordinate. Chapter 76. What did you say? Bai Jinbin's body trembled as disbelief filled his face. It was the dream of many young men to work for him, but Li Chongqing had turned him down. Kid, I know that you are a man with pride after what happened yesterday. You might be trying to protect your pride by not accepting my invitation, but I want to tell you that pride is worthless if you don't have what it takes. If you have a father who is a high-ranking official or the son of a top noble family, you can naturally reject my proposal. Unfortunately, you don't have any of these. You don't have any background, and you still want to protect your pitiful self-esteem. This only makes me feel ridiculous. Bai Jinbin shook his head as disappointment flashed in his eyes. I am not against you being with Qinxue, but you have to have the ability to protect her. Otherwise, you will only hurt her. To put it bluntly, you are not good enough for Qinxue. After he said that, Bai Jinbin looked at Li Chongqing with a burning gaze, waiting for his final decision. However, Li Chongqing shook his head with a smile. Bai Jinbin, this is what you think. You're right. Arrogance without background and strength is a joke. However, I have my own confidence. Besides, you don't know everything about me and Qinxue. Li Chongqing's voice was calm. Facing Bai Jinbin, the leader of the Chuzhou city, he didn't seem to be at a disadvantage. Your reasons? You're a man who has to work multiple jobs because you are poor. How dare you talk to me about your reasons? Bai Jinbin sneered. Before he came here, He had already asked Yang Fan and the others about Li Changxing's background. He was impressed by Li Changxing's performance the other day, but he didn't expect Li Changxing to be so arrogant. The main branch of the Bai family owns 80 billion. Qin Shui's fiancé, the Chung family, is the richest family in Chuzhou City with over 100 billion in assets. The Wang family that you offended yesterday is from the Wang family. Even a small company owned by the Wang family is worth over 10 billion. What do you have to compete with them? What do you have to be good enough for Qin Shui? Just because you know martial arts? This subordinate behind me is the #1 general who has always followed me to conquer the world. He was once the soldier king of China's most mysterious special forces, the Dragon Group. With your strength, you won't even last 3 moves in his hands. Bai Jinbin shook his head and sighed. You're like a frog in a well. You only see the palm-sized sky and think you see the whole world. No matter how many trump cards you have, they're nothing in front of such a force. After that, he looked straight at Li Changxing, waiting for his answer. However, Li Changxing only curled his lips. Mr. Bai, one day you will naturally understand who is the frog at the bottom of the well. The so-called Chung clan and Wang clan are forces that even you have to look up to. Perhaps in my eyes, they are just ants. Ant, Bai Jinbin was finally angry. Looks like I really misjudged you. You don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. How can I be at ease letting Qin Shui follow you? After saying that, he turned around and left in a huff. After leaving the courtyard, Bai Jinbin got into the car angrily. His assistant and bodyguard next to him said, Master Bai, don't be angry. This kid is a little arrogant, but it's also because of the environment he grew up in that limited his vision. When he suffers a few setbacks, he will naturally understand that he has missed a great opportunity today. He will definitely come back and beg Master Bai to give him a meal. Hearing his subordinate's words, Bai Jinbin felt a little better. By the way, Xiaozhou, you still have to make some arrangements. This time, Qin Shui backed out of the marriage, and the Chung clan is furious. The main branch is also very dissatisfied with our branch in Qingzhou. Arrange more people to protect Qin Shui, lest the Chung clan's lackeys act out of desperation. As for this kid, help him if you can. Otherwise, you won't even know how he died. After saying that, Bai Jinbin looked worried and sighed. After offending the Wang clan this time, I'm afraid the Bai clan of Qingzhou will have a hard time. Just as Bai Jinbin was about to instruct the driver to leave, his phone suddenly rang. He picked it up and heard that it was Old Master's voice. Jinbin, have you heard that the Wang clan fell? What fell? Bai Jinbin was stunned and couldn't react in time. It's the Wang clan behind Director Wang. I heard that they offended a super powerful force, and all the companies under their name were sealed overnight. Even the head of the Wang clan was arrested. All the companies under the Bai clan's name have resumed normal operations today. That's great. Old Master Bai was very excited. Originally, he thought that the Bai clan was doomed this time. He didn't expect such a turn of events. Hearing this, Bai Jinbin fell into deep thought. Just what kind of power can beat down a colossus like the Wang clan? That day, that kid Li Changxing said that he had a way to bring down the Wang clan. It definitely wasn't him. I've checked his information. He's just a poor kid. Li Changxing's running plan was disrupted. When he went to the breakfast shop at the entrance of the school and finished his breakfast, he received a call from Ding Qingyang of the 100 Herb Hall. Mr. Li, the herbs you asked for are ready. So fast. Li Changxing's face lit up with joy. The herbs he listed could be used to refine a furnace of elixirs, which would be of great benefit to his recovery of strength. Only Ding Qingyang could get them. An ordinary medicine shop couldn't provide a single elixir, even if they beat him to death. Now Ding Qingyang is working hard to collect herbs for me. I don't know what he's up to. Li Changxing silently thought in his heart. There was no such thing as hatred or love for no reason in this world. Selfless devotion was impossible. After hanging up the phone, Li Changxing hurriedly took a taxi to the medicine shop of the 100 Herb Hall on Xinglong Street. The medicine shop had obviously just opened. When Li Changxing entered, the first person he saw was not Ding Qingyang, but his sister, Ding Qingshui, with a frosty face. I'm here to get the herbs. Li Changsheng went straight to the point. How much does it cost in total? 30 million. Ding Qingxue said coldly. So expensive? Li Changsheng was shocked and smiled bitterly. He regarded money as dirt, but he really couldn't take out so much money now. Well, I don't have that much money with me. Can you wait a while? I'll get some money, Li Changsheng said with a smile. He knew that the elixirs were indeed worth the price. No, Ding Qingxue said coldly. Li Changsheng knew that this girl had been dissatisfied with him, although he didn't know the reason. So he said, "Where's your brother? I'll talk to him." With that, he was about to walk into the medicine shop. Who allowed you to come in? Ding Qingxue's eyes turned cold. She drew out the soft sword at her waist and stabbed at Li Changsheng like a cold light. In an instant, Li Changsheng felt a sharp, murderous intent coming at him. Ding Qingxue's swordsmanship had definitely reached a higher level, and her strength was no less than that of a Wu Dao grandmaster. This sword thrust was so sharp that it could probably blast a hole in a steel plate with the power of the sword chi. You weren't this fierce the last time. Is it because I injured Zhou Xing? Li Changsheng figured out the key in the blink of an eye. You're really ruthless. With a cold snort, Li Changsheng suddenly stretched out his finger. The moment the soft sword was about to reach his throat, he suddenly flicked it with his finger. Bang! It was like a clap of thunder. Boom! A green light lingered on Li Changsheng's finger and hit the soft sword. The counter behind Ding Qingxue was instantly shattered into pieces, and under Ding Qingxue's horrified gaze, the soft sword in her hand broke inch by inch. As for her, she felt a huge force pass through the sword to her arm, and she was sent flying backwards. She crashed into the partition behind her, smashing the wooden partition into smithereens and falling into the innermost part of the pharmacy. Chapter 77. The noise outside alarmed the people inside. Ding Qingyang and two other figures rushed out together. When they saw Ding Qingxue flying out, the two men who came out with Ding Qingyang were about to rush up and attack Li Changsheng. But Ding Qingyang reached out and stopped them. He looked at Li Changsheng in surprise and said in a low voice, "I was wrong to be able to seriously injure my sister with one move." As he spoke, he made an obeisance to Li Changsheng and handed the prepared medicinal materials to Li Changsheng. "It's my sister who offended you. I'll come to apologize another day. What about the money for the medicine? Just take it as a gift from me to apologize on behalf of my sister." Okay. Li Changsheng didn't say anything and put away the spiritual medicine. He was more and more sure that Ding Qingyang wanted something from him, but since he didn't say anything, he wouldn't ask more. After Li Changsheng left completely, the two men next to him said indignantly, "Senior brother, why did you let him go? He hit Qingxue." "I know," Ding Qingyang snorted and said. "But do you think we can keep the person who broke Qingxue's soft sword in two with a snap of his fingers? He has already shown mercy." As he spoke, he looked at his sister. At this time, Ding Qingxue also got up from the ground. Although she was sent flying, there were no injuries on her body. He broke the soft sword and sent Qingxue flying, but she didn't get hurt at all. This is the performance of martial arts. Even an expert in the guru realm can't do that. We can't afford to offend such a person. Hearing Ding Qingyang's words, the two men showed a look of horror on their faces. Even Ding Qingxue's eyes became complicated. At this moment, Li Changsheng had taken the medicinal materials and returned to the villa given to him by Su Xiaolin. The medicinal materials were all aged spiritual medicine, enough for Li Changsheng to make a furnace of spirit-gathering pills. The only thing he lacked now was an alchemy furnace. It seems that I have to ask Su Xiaolin for an alchemy furnace. Li Changsheng realized that the current society was completely different from before he went into hibernation. Without the support of money and power, it was almost impossible for him to recover his strength quickly. Therefore, he called Su Xiaolin again. Su Xiaolin naturally didn't dare to neglect Li Changsheng's request. However, Su Xiaolin also told him something else over the phone. Yang Xiaowei's father, Yang Chenggang, had suddenly disappeared. Even his son, Yang Xiaowei, had disappeared without a trace. Regarding this, Su Xiaolin apologized to Li Changsheng, saying that he had not handled the matter well. Just an ant, Li Changsheng said indifferently. At the same time, he ordered, send a capable subordinate to protect Yu Wei. Indeed, Yang Qinggang could not find him now. Perhaps he would make a move on Yu Wei. It was better to be safe than sorry. They had to be on guard. An hour after hanging up the phone, one of Su Xiaolin's subordinates came to the villa with an alchemy furnace. The subordinate was a lean man. He was thin and small, but Li Changsheng could tell at a glance that the man's seemingly thin body contained a huge amount of energy. "Are you a martial artist to the Grandmaster realm?" Li Changsheng asked after sizing up the man. The lean man's body suddenly trembled, and his eyes were filled with surprise. He obviously didn't expect that his strength would be seen through by the person in front of him at a glance. However, he quickly cupped his hands and said respectfully, "I'm Peng Tiexin, Master Su's subordinate. I'm here to deliver the alchemy furnace under Master Su's orders. At the same time, I'm responsible for protecting Yu Wei." "Not bad." Li Changxing nodded. A martial artist of the Grandmaster realm is already a super-class expert. "I'm relieved to have you protecting Yu Wei. Thank you for your appreciation, Mr. Li. Well, you can go now." Li Changsheng didn't talk nonsense and wave his hand. Peng Tiexin was very considerate and left respectfully. A martial artist of the Grandmaster realm was definitely a top expert in today's Jianghu. Peng Tiexin was very respectful to Li Changsheng only because Su Xiaolin had repeatedly told him to treat Li Changsheng with more respect than himself. After Peng Tiexin left, Li Changsheng put the alchemy furnace in the villa. He didn't start refining the pills. Refining pills wasn't as simple as opening the furnace. It also needed to be coordinated with the right time, place, and the rotation of the stars. There were many things to pay attention to. The most important thing was that refining pills required alchemy fire. Alchemy fire wasn't an ordinary flame, but an unusual flame between heaven and earth. It's a pity that my strength hasn't recovered. Otherwise, I could directly activate the Samadhi True Fire to refine pills. Li Changsheng shook his head. Since I can't activate the Samadhi True Fire, I can only use another kind of flame, which is the spiritual fire. However, the spiritual fire needs spirit stones to provide energy. Li Changsheng couldn't help but feel a little distressed. Spirit stones and spiritual herbs were both natural treasures. Perhaps even Su Xiaolin couldn't get them. Those 100 Flavor Hall disciples can actually get spiritual herbs. They should be able to get spirit stones as well. Li Changsheng touched his chin. Now that he had taken Ding Qingyang's spiritual herbs, he couldn't directly ask for them. However, that Ding Qingyang clearly had something to ask of him. It wouldn't be too late to ask for it after he came. With this thought in mind, Li Changsheng could only put aside his alchemy plan and left the villa to return to the dormitory. Jiang Tao and the other two weren't in the dormitory. Li Changsheng called them and found that they were in the internet cafe. Chen Wan and the others were also there. They asked Li Changsheng if he wanted to go there. Li Changsheng thought for a moment and nodded. Last time at the KTV, Chen Wan tipped Li Changsheng 1,000 yuan. Li Changsheng wanted to find time to return it to her. When he arrived at the internet cafe, Jiang Tao and the others were playing LOL. Li Changsheng also went to open a computer. He also took the opportunity to learn about the internet. Zhang Xiaofeng and Yang Fan were typical otakus. They were very good at playing games. Chen Wan and Hao Ting were playing QQ Dazzle. There were two girls next to them. They should be with them. There was also a man who was talking and laughing with Chen Wan and the others. After a while, Zhang Mingming came out of the bathroom. When she saw Li Changsheng, her face showed a bit of complexity. "Long time no see." Li Changsheng waved to Zhang Mingming. He had a good impression of Zhang Mingming. Unexpectedly, Zhang Mingming didn't pay attention to Li Changsheng. Instead, she walked to the unfamiliar man. At this time, Chen Wan suddenly took off her headphones and said with a smile, "Li Changsheng, Mingming is embarrassed to introduce you. Let me introduce you. This is Shang Jianping, Mengmeng's boyfriend. By the way, Jianping, what kind of business does your family do? Chen deliberately raised her voice and asked. Hao Ting tugged at her sleeve, but she pretended not to notice. My family runs a coal mine. Oh, a coal mine owner. You must be rich. Chen Wan exclaimed exaggeratedly, then pointed at Li Changsheng and introduced him. This is Li Changsheng. He lives in the same dormitory as Jiang Tao. His family is relatively poor. I heard that he has several part-time jobs. By the way, Li Changsheng, didn't you go out for a part-time job today? How come you have time to come to the internet cafe? Li Changsheng didn't understand why Chen Wan, this woman, was always against him. He had saved her once. Regarding this, he just faintly smiled. By the way, the 1,000 yuan tip you gave me last time is completely unnecessary. I'm helping my friend to keep an eye on the place. I'm not a waiter. Huh. Chen Wan smiled and took the 1,000 yuan. She muttered, some people are willing to suffer for their pride. Chapter 78. Chen Wan, Changsheng saved you. Can't you be more polite to him? Jiang Tao couldn't stand it anymore and said, how am I not polite? I didn't return his tip that day because he didn't want it. Jiang Tao curled his lips, which made him regret letting Li Changxing come. Hello, my name is Shang Jianping. Zhang Mingming's boyfriend took the initiative to reach out his hand. Li Changsheng also reached out to shake his hand. Chen Wan said in a strange tone, Li Changsheng, my Ming Ming is now taken. Don't count on her. What do you mean? Shang Jianping looked a little confused. Hao Ting was about to stop her, but Chen Wan had already blurted out. What else? This guy used to like Ming Ming. If it weren't for us, Ming Ming might have been fooled by him. For a moment, Shang Jianping looked at Li Changsheng with hostility. Chen Wan, stop it. Zhang Mingming suddenly said with a bad look. She went over to hold Shang Jianping's arm and said, Jianping, don't listen to Chen Wan's nonsense. There's nothing between me and Changsheng. As she said, she looked at Li Changsheng with a complicated look. There was an inexplicable feeling in her eyes. Li Changsheng smiled and didn't think much of it. Although he had a good impression of Zhang Mingming, he didn't think of them as a couple. By the way, Changsheng, you've been so busy these 2 days that I haven't even seen your shadow. What have you been doing? Yang Fan spoke in time, trying to change the topic. I helped a friend to solve some problems. Li Changsheng said. Friend? Is it a guy or a girl? Is it your girlfriend? Yang Fan regretted it after he said it. He was afraid that Li Changsheng would say that his girlfriend was by Qinxue, the campus belle of Yanbei University, like last time in the dormitory. It was okay for them to joke in the same dormitory. If he said it this time, he would only be laughed at by others. It's not a girlfriend, but a girl. Which girl did you trick this time? Chen Wan said with a sneer. Her name is by Qinxue, a student at Yanbei University. Li Changsheng said. What? It wasn't just Chen Wan. Even Su Ying and Hao Ting cried out in surprise. Stop bragging, Li Changsheng. Bai Qinxue is the campus belle of Yanbei University. She has tons of admirers. Why would she need your help? I think you're just bragging. Although Zhang Mingming and the others did not say anything, the look in their eyes was clearly the same as Chen Wan's. They felt that Li Changsheng said that to save face. Yang Fan and the others sighed. They were afraid that Li Changsheng would scold Bai Qinxue. However, Li Changsheng had no foresight at all. Wasn't this embarrassing for them? Hee. Shang Jianping, who had been watching from the sidelines, suddenly sneered. I know Bai Qinxue. One of my buddies has been pursuing her for more than a year, but he couldn't even get her contact information. I think the chances of you knowing Bai Qinxue aren't very high. Hearing Shang Jianping's words, Jiang Tao and the others felt a little embarrassed. They looked at Li Changsheng with a bit of complaint. They thought, even if you don't have a girlfriend, you should be more reliable when bragging. Bai Qinxue isn't someone you can reach. Okay, let's not talk about this anymore. Jiang Tao said, we can't always stay in the internet cafe. We have to find a place to have fun. Why don't we go to a KTV? Chen Wan suggested. I heard that this brother works part-time at a KTV. Why don't we go there? Acquaintances can give you a discount or something. Shang Jianping looked at Li Changsheng with a faint smile and said, "That KTV is owned by my friend. It's been closed recently. Let's go to another one." Li Changsheng said, "TSK, I think you're afraid that your lie will be exposed at that KTV. It won't look good, right?" Chenwan curled her lips, but didn't insist. "There's a KTV nearby, called Moulin Rouge. It's my treat," Shang Jianping said. In the past, it was Jiang Tao who treated, but he was also a rich second generation, so no one dared to compete with him. Soon, they arrived at the KTV box and sat down. Several girls began to sing, while Shang Jianping and Zhang Mingming sat in the corner and whispered sweet nothings. Although Zhang Mingming felt a little uncomfortable because of Li Changsheng, she couldn't refuse Shang Jianping. Chen Wan and the others glanced at Li Changsheng's face from time to time, as if they were watching a show. Jiang Tao and the others sat together with Li Changsheng. Jiang Tao patted Li Changsheng's shoulder and said, "Brother, there are plenty of fish in the sea. You don't have to care too much." "I don't care." Li Changsheng smiled. But in the eyes of Jiang Tao and the others, it was a bitter smile, and they sighed helplessly. "Changsheng, do you have any female classmates? Call one over for these snobs to see." Zhang Xiaofeng couldn't stand Chen Wan and Shang Jianping. He made a phone call and asked the girl he had been chasing recently. Unexpectedly, the girl agreed and came in half an hour later. She was petite and greeted everyone with a smile as soon as she came in. Zhang Xiaofeng knew that there was a chance today, so he quickly tried to please her. Among the men, only Li Changsheng and Yang Fan didn't have a female companion. Yang Fan didn't seem lonely because he took the initiative to chat with the other two girls. Only Li Changsheng sat there alone, neither singing nor talking. He seemed lonely. "Changsheng, come and have a drink." Jiang Tao took the initiative to accompany Li Changsheng. After thinking about it, Li Changsheng took out his mobile phone and sent a text message to Bai Qianxue. "Come out when you're free." Originally, he wanted to call Yu Yue, but Yu Yue didn't have a mobile phone, so he couldn't contact her at all. He thought that he should buy Yu Yue a mobile phone someday, otherwise it would be really inconvenient to contact her. Li Changsheng didn't have much hope when he sent the text message to Bai Qianxue. Although he had helped the Bai family a lot, in Bai Qianxue's eyes, it was just a deal. And the Bai family didn't know that he asked Su Xiaolan to deal with the Wang family. As soon as he put down the phone, the screen lit up. "Okay, send me the location." There was a smiley face at the end. Li Changsheng was quite surprised and sent the location. Seeing Li Changsheng smile, Jiang Tao asked curiously, "Changsheng, why are you so happy? Are you going to call your girlfriend to give us a big surprise?" Jiang Tao's words had a hint of ridicule. Unexpectedly, Li Changsheng nodded. "Yeah, she's not really a girlfriend, just a friend. It's the Bai Qianxue that I told you about." Hee. Chunwan didn't know why she happened to hear this sentence, but she shook her head. Some people don't even have a draft for bragging. "What Bai Qianxue? If Bai Qianxue can come, you, Li Changsheng, will be my boss in the future. I don't have such an unfilial niece like you," Li Changsheng said, which made Chenwan so angry that she almost went crazy. Okay. Jiang Tao's girlfriend, Su Ying, quickly came out to smooth things over. As she spoke, she looked at Li Changsheng with a reproachful look. "Changsheng, why do you keep asking Chenwan? I originally wanted to introduce one of my sisters to you. If you continue to be like this, I won't introduce them to you." "No need. I already have a girlfriend." Li Changsheng smiled and said. What he received was a roll of the eyes around him. Still pretending at this time. Even Hao Ting curled her lips. That day when Li Changsheng fought in the bar, they felt that Li Changsheng was quite manly. But now, they felt that besides knowing Kung Fu, Li Changsheng didn't seem to have any good points. His appearance was ordinary, his family was ordinary, and he liked to brag. No wonder even Zhang Mingming chose him. Chapter 79. Li Changsheng only smiled at their mockery and ridicule. Half an hour later, even Jiang Tao and the others, who had high hopes for Li Changsheng, were a bit disappointed. Yang Fan couldn't help but ask. Changxing's girlfriend hasn't arrived yet. I'll go out and have a look. Li Changxing walked out. Bai Qianxue should have arrived by now. But he didn't come out to welcome Bai Qianxue. He just wanted to get some fresh air. He didn't know how to sing, and he wasn't familiar with the girls, so he was a bit bored sitting there. He squatted in front of the KTV and lit a cigarette. Just as he took 2 puffs, he saw a white figure get out of a taxi. She wore light makeup and a string of ruby bracelets on her wrist, which was particularly eye-catching. She stood in front of Li Changsheng, and her cheeks blushed for the first time. I'm sorry, there was a traffic jam, so I'm a bit late. It's okay. Li Changsheng looked Bai Qianxue up and down. She seemed to have specially dressed up today, which made her look even more otherworldly. I didn't expect you to come. Li Changsheng chuckled. You helped me, so of course I'll help you. And I find you quite interesting. I don't have many friends growing up. Bai Qianxue smiled. As the saying goes, looking at a beauty under the light makes her even more beautiful. At the moment, the street lights were dim, and Bai Qianxue looked even more charming. There are a few of my roommates and friends of my roommate's girlfriend. There's even a guy who treats me as his rival in love. I'm wondering if they'll think that you're an actor hired by me after I bring you in. What did you say? Bai Qianxue didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Well, I'll introduce you to them later. We're elementary school classmates, so I'm lucky to meet you, the campus belle. Bai Qianxue was speechless. When the two walked into KTV and were about to reach the private room, Li Changsheng suddenly put his arm around Bai Qianxue's waist. Bai Qianxue's body trembled slightly. Because the light was too dim, he couldn't see if her cheeks were blushing, but she obviously slowed down a lot. Pushing open the door to the private room, Suing was holding a microphone and singing We're All Good Kids. The rotating light shone on the door, illuminating Bai Qianxue's cold face and Li Changxing's smug expression. In an instant, the voices in the room stopped abruptly. Only the accompanying music was still flowing. Hello everyone, this is my girlfriend, Bai Qianxue. Bai Qianxue was a little confused. This guy just said that he was introducing himself as a classmate. Why did he suddenly change his words? He was really shameless. But surprisingly, she wasn't angry or displeased. Instead, she let out a long sigh of relief. Before the stunned crowd could respond, Li Changsheng pulled Bai Qianxue to a secluded spot and sat down. Chun Wan, who was originally waiting to see Li Changsheng make a fool of himself, opened her mouth so wide that an egg could be stuffed inside. Even Suing was dumbfounded. This was the campus belle of Yinbei University, Bai Qianxue. Let alone her, even Shang Jianpain, who was sitting in the corner, was completely dumbfounded. Zhang Mengmeng, who was next to him, didn't even hold the wine glass in her hand tightly, and it fell to the ground. This scene was no less than throwing a bomb into the deep water, making these small fishes and shrimps dizzy. Changsheng, you're awesome. Even Jiang Tao couldn't help but give him a thumbs up. Sister-in-law, shouldn't we have a drink when we meet for the first time? Jiang Tao said with a smile. He was originally joking. After all, Bai Qianxue didn't look like a woman who was easy to get along with. With Jiang Tao's years of experience in the field, he knew that this woman was as arrogant as a peacock. Although he didn't know how Li Changxing got her, she might not accept a toast from a stranger. Qianxue can't drink. I'll drink with you. Since Li Changsheng called Bai Qianxue over, he certainly couldn't let her get drunk. He had the obligation to drink for her. Unexpectedly, Bai Qianxue suddenly stood up and picked up the wine glass. Changsheng, I'm toasting your girlfriend, not you. As she spoke, she drank all the beer in the glass. This situation made Jiang Tao and the others a little stunned. When Bai Qianxue sat down, Li Changsheng couldn't help but let out a bitter smile. He knew that this girl had been under pressure recently. It's useless to drown your sorrows in alcohol, Li Changsheng said in a low voice. I'm happy to, Bai Qianxue said with a bit of anger. What if I have bad thoughts about you when you're drunk? Li Changxing joked. He purposely looked at Bai Qianxue a few times. Then bring it on. Bai Qianxue's face was red after drinking a glass of wine. She was a little more presumptuous than usual. She stuck out her chest, and her body was a little more seductive. Such an ice-cold woman, when enchanting, would simply take one's life. The button on your chest is open, Li Changsheng said in a low voice. In an instant, Bai Qinxue hurriedly looked down. This guy was talking nonsense. She couldn't help but stare at him with her almond-shaped eyes. However, it didn't have any lethality. Instead, she became more seductive. Since Bai Qinxue appeared, the atmosphere in the whole place became subtle. Chen Wan and the other girls looked over from time to time. When they saw Li Changsheng and Bai Qinxue flirting there, their doubts disappeared. Jiang Tao and the others heaved a sigh of relief. Li Changsheng was undoubtedly the one in the limelight tonight. Okay, I have something to do. I'll go back first. Bai Qinxue looked at her watch. I'll walk you out, Li Changsheng said. The two walked out of the room. When they left the KTV, the seductive look on Bai Qinxue's face disappeared completely. She returned to her unapproachable look. You helped me that day at my grandpa's birthday party. Today, we're even, Bai Qinxue said coldly. Li Changsheng wasn't surprised by Bai Qinxue's change, because today's appearance in the KTV was completely different from Bai Qinxue's normal appearance. However, whether it was her original appearance or not, let alone him, even Bai Qinxue herself didn't know. Let's go. Bai Qinxue waved to Li Changsheng and reached out to stop a taxi. At this moment, a group of strong men suddenly rushed out of a Jinbei car on the side of the road and rushed toward Bai Qinxue. The taxi that was about to stop hurriedly sped up and passed by Bai Qinxue. At this moment, the group of strong men had already rushed over. Don't be afraid. I'll protect you. Li Changsheng stood in front of Bai Qinxue. A BMW car rushed over and braked on the side of the road. The door opened and Bai Jinbin rushed out. He grabbed a trash can on the side of the road and threw it toward the group of strong men. He said to Bai Qinxue anxiously, "Get in the car." Seeing Li Changsheng standing there motionless, he hurriedly pulled Li Changsheng toward the BMW. What are you doing? You won't be able to run when they come. As soon as the three of them got into the car, the group of strong men caught up. The driver, Xiao Zhou, stepped on the gas and rushed over. The men threw the sticks in their hands at the car. They hit the roof of the car and made clanking sounds. They chased after the car for a while, but were soon left behind. Who are they? Bai Qinxue patted her chest with lingering fear. Bai Jinbin sighed. Who else can they be? They're from the Wang family. I don't know who the Wang family offended. They were uprooted and vented their anger on the Bai family. The Wang family's branch in Qingzhou has been smashing our shop for the past few days. I've been sending people to protect you secretly. When I heard that you left school and came here, I was afraid that the Wang family would do something to you. Fortunately, I came in time. Otherwise, you would be in danger today. After Bai Jinbin finished speaking, he glanced at Li Changsheng. It's good that you can stand in front of Qinxue at this critical moment. However, you should understand now that you can't protect Qinxue with your strength. You should think about what I said that day. Hearing Bai Jinbin's words, Li Changsheng didn't say anything. However, Bai Qinxue looked confused. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.